Let's see if this works. All right. Do we have a stream? Do we have a working stream? One way to find out now. Just got to turn off some stuff that's not needed over here. Refresh on the phone. Here we are. Okay, do we have working audio in this video? Are you able to hear me? Let's see, I'll turn Bluetooth off here. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, welcome, and I hope you're having a lovely Saturday evening. So there's a few things that I wanted to discuss tonight. I'm going to do this in a different format than usual. Usually I try to keep up with messages as they come in, and I also try to keep up with chat as it comes in, but the problem there is it kind of interrupts me and knocks me off topic. So I'm going to try to review things later so that I can discuss the things that I want to discuss in the beginning, and then discuss the things that you want to discuss later on in the video. So we're going to start with the topic of today's video, and then we move on to whatever it is that you would want to discuss. What I want to start with today is something that's been the theme of the week, which is issuing a software update to fix a hardware problem. This is something that you see more and more companies doing. This is something I talked about Tesla doing, where they were addressing a hardware problem with the Model S with a software fix. There is an excellent website that I will link to in the chat, which goes over in great detail how it is that many people who have a specific issue with a Tesla Model S with range loss are having a hardware problem. There is a malfunctioning sensor. There's a something is fundamentally malfunctioning within the BMS. And Tesla's solution was, again, as a software fix, I want to give them credit. The software engineers that were doing this came up with a really great solution to what really should have been, I'm sorry, customer, we're going to go into your battery that you paid, $90,000 for when you bought the car and swap out the broken stuff for something that works since it's within warranty. And this is something that seems to be carrying over into other providers. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. And this is something that actually happened with Ford recently. I had the opportunity to speak with an engineer that knows considerably more than me, who gave me a little bit of insight into what it is that may have been done in a case like this, or how somebody may go about trying to solve something in a case like this if they were an automotive engineer and if they were dealing with some sort of similar issue. So this says Ford recalls 48,924 Mustang Mach-E's in a setback for electric vehicle plans. Car maker cites potential safety defects in the crossover SUV. Dealers cannot deliver the vehicle until the issue is fixed via an update. So there's a safety issue with the vehicle, and they're going to fix it via an update. Now, is this a hardware update, a software update? What is the issue? Let's dig into it and see. Ford Motor Company has told dealers to temporarily halt deliveries of the Mustang Mach-E over a potential safety defect. A setback for the car maker as it tries to fortify its position as a leader in electric vehicles. The automaker is recalling almost 50,000 Mach-E's from the 2021 and 2022 model years made at Ford's plant in Cuautitlán, Mexico, a spokesperson for the company said Tuesday. Dealers can still sell the car, but cannot deliver it to buyers until the defect is fixed, Ford said. So they can keep taking your money, but they're not going to be able to deliver the vehicle until this is fixed. So what is the issue? Ford submitted the recall to National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. The issue involves the possible overheating of high-voltage battery main contactors, which can cause vehicles to lose power while in motion or fail to start. The defect is being corrected with a software update that owners can receive over the air or by going to their dealer, Ford said. It added that there were no open investigations with the NHTSA. Ford became the second leading seller of electric vehicles in the U.S. last year, behind Tesla on the strength of the Mustang Mach-E, which sold 27,140 models in 2021. Sales of the battery-powered crossover SUV were up 50% so far this year to 15,718 units, and the model has had its best month yet in May. The CEO, Jim Farley, has accelerated Ford's push in electric vehicles with plans to build 2 million annually by 2026. They're talking about expanding factories and blah-de-blah-de-blah. I'm kind of curious if any of you know the point that we're most likely going to start at when discussing this article. Do any of you have a guess as to where we may begin our discussion with what we've read so far in this particular article? Anybody know? Anybody have a clue? Let's see. Battery contactors that can overheat and burn, and you're going to fix that via software. Now, again, I've built my own electric bikes for a long period of time. And some of the connectors used to be these really, really small Anderson connectors, and they would get somewhat burned over time because I like making my bike go burr. And one of the things that I did was replace those with XT90 connectors. Now, I'm not using even close to the amperage that would be used in an XT90 connector, and I'll show you what that looks like here. But, however, this is a considerably stronger connector than the really tiny, piddly, crappy connectors that a lot of the Bafang controllers and Bafang controller wiring systems were using stock. So this is a system that pretty much ensures that I'm never going to have that problem. So I had a problem with my bike where the connector on the battery was not good enough. So what I did is I replaced it with a connector that had greater surface area, higher amperage rating, higher heat rating. How are you going to solve the problem of a battery connector heating up with software? Well, there's many different ways that you can go about this. One way is you could simply limit the current via software. Another thing that you could do, and which would be interesting, would be to actually adjust the PID loop. Because if you adjust the PID loop, technically, you could tell the customer, we are not limiting the current capability of your vehicle. It is still, quote, just as powerful as it was before. Same amount of current that could be delivered. However, you are not going to have the same amount of oomph, perhaps, at certain speeds. So I'll give you an example here with one of the pieces of software I use with my e-bike. This is a very simplified version. So the Phase Runner controller is based on an ASI, Accelerated Systems, BAC 800 or BAC 855 controller. This is their simplified GUI version of it. But even though it's a simplified GUI version, you still have these two pieces over here for feedback bandwidth tuning. This over here is part of what's called a PID loop. You have proportional gain, integral gain, and derivative gain. Now here, you can't set the derivative gain. You need to use their proprietary software called Backdoor. I try to not install software called Backdoor on my machine, not only not to give people the wrong idea, but just because it's, I don't know, Backdoor. It's weird. It's spelled without a K. I'm not even... Leave that for another day. But anyway, the point here is I can adjust something called the PID loop. Now, proportional gain is something where I want to be here, I'm here. How much force do I need if I say that I want to be here? Like, how much force should I shoot? Now, once I'm close to it, right? This is an insanely oversimplified version of a PID loop. So if you're interested in figuring out what a PID loop is, please do actually watch an engineering channel on YouTube, not a channel of some ranting MacBook repair dude who's barely graduated high school. Proportional, if you want to be here and you're just at dead stop, proportional gain is okay. How much are we going to use? How much vroom to get over here? The next step is like, okay, like once you're over here, once you're near where you want to be, integral gain is going to be what gets you from here to here. It's like the fine adjustment. And then, the derivative gain, I believe, is that's going to be where, let's say you overshoot a little bit, that's going to be what shoots you back down so that you can kind of get right where you want to be in the middle. Now, on my electric bicycle, without changing any of the current settings, I could not change a single current setting over here, so I could have the current setting stay exactly where it is, the power limit stay exactly where it is. I'm still able to change this. Now, the company ebikes.ca, Grim, they have this interesting hard-on for integral gain, right? So if I set this to 317, which is stock for a BBS HD, what will happen is when I hit the throttle on my e-bike, instead of moving forward, it'll just toss me off of it. Like it'll literally just wheelie. Whereas if I set my integral gain as something like 10 or 20, it will move forward. So if I have my integral gain set to 10 or 20, when I hit the throttle on the e-bike, the chain, let's say, the motor will go, let's say the chain is limp like this, and the motor will catch the chain and it'll go clink. Whereas if the integral gain is at 317 or 350, when you hit the throttle, it goes like you can hear the motor is not just grabbing the chain when I hit the throttle. Even at the lowest amount of throttle, even when I put the little bit of throttle in, barely any throttle at all, you will see that the chain, like it gets stretched, it gets pulled, it gets yanked, and you can hear this yank, and you can feel it, the bike pulling you forward. Now, think of how you would have something like, let's say, traction control on a Dodge Hellcat or something like that. When you're hitting the gas, you're not literally just hitting the gas with something like 300 integral gain on Lewis's e-bike. It's set so that when you hit the gas, your tires are not just going to spin and continuously move yourself forward. So it is possible to do a software update that even without changing the current limit of the car, is going to change your acceleration profiles so that you're less likely to use the amount of energy that would cause you to overheat the battery connector. Now, is this as simple as a PID loop? I don't know. I'm not a freaking engineer. There's a lot of different ways that you could do this. And one of the misconceptions that I had when I was talking to somebody who is actually a real engineer, I was really curious how this would affect the advertised 0 to 60 time of the vehicle. So, again, if people purchased this vehicle and they purchased a vehicle with the idea that the 0 to 60 time is 3.5 or 4.2 or 5 seconds, and now their 0 to 60 time is like 6 or 8 seconds, they're probably going to be pretty mad. They're probably not going to like that very much. However, if that was based on a misconception that I had, which is that you're using most of your energy for your 0 to 20, your 0 to 40, your 0 to 60 time. And in reality, that's not actually that may be where you're using a lot of torque, but that may not necessarily be where you're using the most power. Peak torque and peak power are different things. So what I'm going to guess they're doing is I'm guessing that they are messing in some way, shape, or form with how you hitting the accelerator pedal deals with actually accelerating the car, so that you are not burning up battery connectors. And the thing is, at the end of the day, is that good enough? I'm not an automotive engineer. I'm not a real engineer. And obviously, my gut feeling is that there's no way that I would feel more comfortable with you giving me the battery connector for the original acceleration profile, rather than the acceleration profile being changed in any way, shape, or form to deal with the fact that the battery contacts are not suitable for the job. Now, one of the reasons that you're most likely seeing a software fix rather than a hardware fix is related to an article that came out about one day after the recall article came out. Ford Mustang Mach-E profit wiped out by commodity costs. Ford's traditional vehicles are still paying for electric vehicle expansion. The CFO says a car maker is seeing a rise in auto loan defaults. Now, auto loan defaults is something that's, again, understandable. You see prices of cars, prices of everything has shot up insanely lately, but cars and housing are some of the two most ridiculous ones. This is probably the only time in my lifetime where you could buy a car in 2019 or 2020 and sell it at a profit in 2021 or 2022, even with all the bumper scratches and the 5,000 or 10,000 miles you put on it. The car that I bought in spring of 2021, even with 27,000 miles on it, with scratches in the bumper, I could sell for a $5,000 profit right now. That's crazy. But anyway, in an environment like this, a lot of people are very likely FOMOing into cars that they can't afford because they want a car. And that's not necessarily a good thing, but that's a separate point from here. I don't know how to allow you to post a link there, so you'll just have to try to do something where you, type the word dot or something. Try to make a bit.ly link where you type the word dot or some shit. Anyway, Ford Motor Company's hot-selling Mach-E are being rendered unprofitable by rising raw material costs. We actually had a positive bottom-line profit when we launched the Mach-E. Commodity costs have wiped that out. Chief Financial Officer John Lawler said Wednesday at the Deutsche Bank Global Automotive Conference, referring to 2020, when the Deutsch or Dutch, I don't know. I have never actually heard that word on television before. Feel free to laugh. When the vehicle went on sale. You're going to see some pressure on the bottom line when we launch our electric vehicles. They're not going to be positive. Even so, Ford sees a lot of opportunity to take costs out of the Mach-E and other electric vehicles, such as a future midsize SUV, Lawler said. The company has said it's re-engineering the vehicle on the fly to improve its margins. The company has also boosted prices in the Mach-E this year, he said, without giving specifics. But the model, which Ford is recalling for a defect that could cause it to stop running, now costs $25,000 more to produce than an equivalent gas-powered Edge SUV, he said. We are working back to contribution margin positive across all of our electric vehicles. So this is not really a great thing, because again, if you look at the Mustang Mach-E, they're claiming they're not really making money off of this thing anymore. And if you just take a look at the pricing of it, this is not something that your average ordinary consumer is going to say, wow, this is just, again, like $43,895 for which car? Again, I'm guessing it's that they're, I really hope they're not doing what Tesla does. Tesla shows you the price of the cheapest one, the acceleration of the fastest one, and the range of the one with the longest range. So essentially, this combination, usually with Tesla, is literally impossible. I'm very curious to see if Ford does the same shit. Or if Ford is, Ford does the same shit, right? So it shows you the up to on the main page. So it shows you the speed of the most expensive one, the range of the one that has the most range, which is usually not the fastest one, and the price of the cheapest one, which is, they've taken after Tesla's marketing there, which is bullshit. So if you pay $43,895, you get 247 range and 5.2 seconds 0 to 60. Again, for a lot of people, 247 in the real world, I wouldn't be surprised if you only got closer to 200. The thing that kind of sucks here is, again, $44,000 plus tax for a car that's going to get you like 200 miles range. Again, if you want the one that has more range, that's a little bit more usable, you're going to be looking at a considerably more expensive one. And that's just, these are not affordable vehicles by any stretch of the imagination. So do you already have a crunch where it's going to cost them more to make them, so the prices are going to keep going up, and they have to do a recall because 40+ thousand of them may have battery contacts that burn, which is, again, not a good thing. It says possible overheating of high voltage main battery connectors, which may cause vehicles to lose power in motion or fail to start. Let's be real here. It's not that the battery connectors, it's not just, possible overheating. They're melting and then they're poof. This is going to contribute to why a company would want to issue a software fix for a hardware problem. And one of the things that was always Tesla's selling point, and what was the selling point with a lot of these new electric vehicles, is that you're going to be getting continuous updates. It's going to be improving itself consistently with time. Like, when you bought it, there was a risk of the battery contacts going on fire. And now, there's no more risk of the battery contacts going on fire because the acceleration profile has been slowed. See? Improvement. Now, again, I really do wish I could get more specific information on exactly what the software update does. Like, again, is it a current limit when you're going above a certain speed? Is it a current limit for a certain period of time? Is it just an adjustment to the acceleration profile? If it is an adjustment to the acceleration profile, does that affect how the car feels to the end user? Or was this car just dumping a bunch of power into the motor even when there really wasn't much benefit? Like, again, in my bike, I can get to a point where I'm just dumping power into the motor, but I'm not really noticing much in terms of like a torque difference or a speed difference. It's like it's inefficient. So if you were to take away some of that power at certain points in the acceleration profile, I wouldn't notice. But at the end of the day, I feel like my gut take on that is I would really just want a new battery connector. But again, in a world where everything that is utilized to actually make this product is becoming more expensive every single day, there is a fundamental incentive structure to try and do what Tesla tried to do with their battery sensor, which is, again, why bother addressing the actual physical hardware problem if we can do something with software? That's also something that you saw with Tesla with the Model 3 earlier this year. And a lot of people were reporting issues with the heater not working. There was, if you just Google 2021 Model 3 and Model Y, where the heat pump is not working in really cold weather. There was one person who posted a teardown on Twitter. I forget his name, but it was really good, where he goes over how there's a flap in the front that can freeze open. And when it gets really cold and the flap freezes open, cold air goes on this sensor. When cold air gets on the sensor, the heat pipe thinks that it is essentially, it's like something's wrong. Like the heater is on, but this sensor is still negative 14 Fahrenheit. What the hell? So it just turns off the entire system. Again, you could fix what's going on with that flap, or you could just tell to ignore that sensor. And I wonder if this is going to be a recurring trend with a lot of manufacturers nowadays, which is, let's do everything we can to fix hardware defects with software fixes. Because we're already at a point when it comes to things like video games, where when I was a kid, again, I feel old now. I'm going to be 34 years old this November. When I was a kid, you got a game console that had something like kilobytes of a memory card. You got a CD, 700 megabytes or so of storage, and that was it. You didn't have a hard drive in the game console. A PlayStation did not have an Ethernet port on it or even a phone jack for dial-up. So when you purchased the video game, what you received had to be the finished product. There was no, we're going to sell you the video game, and then there's updates later. Now, there are kids, and it's so weird to be growing up in this timeline, where they go to their gaming to play the game, and they can't play the game until they wait 15 minutes for an update to install. Crazy. Even when it's a single-player game. This is absolute madness. But when I was a kid, the product that you were shipped had to work already. You couldn't release 70% of the product now, get the money, and then, fix the other 30%. Who gives? Who cares? We got the money. You actually had to make a product that worked. And it's really interesting to see this trend. I'm hoping, I shouldn't even call it a trend just yet. It's interesting to see this happening in the electric vehicle space, because I hope that it doesn't follow a trend that's been happening in other spaces, where it's just we'll just fix it later. Like, we'll just fix it later. We'll release it now. We'll fix it later. You may be able to fix an acceleration profile later, but contacts burning? No. I will go through your comments at this point in time and go from there. Louis should teach us how to ride a bike because our president can't ride one. Dude, he is in his 70s or 80s. When I'm that age, I'll be happy if I can walk. My martial arts instructor is 73 and could kick the shit out of a buff 20 guy in his 20s who has been training in martial arts for a year. And he has like a little beer belly, and he's skinny, and he's like 5'2". It's fucking amazing. But I hope to be that guy. But I realize, like, most likely no. Where are the shades? You know what? We'll put those on later. Actually, let's see. We'll put it in the chat. If you want me to wear sunglasses during the stream, type S. If you want me to not wear sunglasses, type N. I'm glad you made it home and survived hanging out last night. Sunglasses appear to win. I'll be right back with a set of sunglasses. Actually helps because these lights are really annoying to look at. Yeah, again, as I said, I did a stream last night. I deleted it. When it comes to drinking, I have a rule for drinking. Eat a steak beforehand. Drink water while I am drinking liquor. Go for a long walk or get some sort of cardiovascular exercise for half an hour to an hour. Like light intensity cardio exercise for half an hour to an hour to metabolize the liquor, help metabolize the liquor before I go home. And I'm set. I woke up early this morning and I was just fine. But yeah, last night was very interesting. I walked through the the Lower East Side of Manhattan to see how things are. And honestly, New York City has come, when it comes to the partying shit, it's come back. The whole retail space thing, like the commercial retail space market is an apocalypse in New York City. But like the bars and the restaurants and all that, like if you just go to the Lower East Side, it looks the way it did pre-pandemic. No one owns electric cars or anything these days. Yeah, you know what? I agree with you when you say or anything these days. Because that's the direction everything appears to be moving in. Pretty sure Bafangs don't come stock with Anderson power poles. Felix, check it out. Look at the BBS HD control. Okay, it's not a real Anderson. It's not a big Anderson connector. It's like this cheap, shitty, knockoff, junky, whatever. It's like an attempt at an Anderson connector. They claim in the ad it's an Anderson connector, but you bet it's not like what you think it is. I'm going to stop showing the logo on this water bottle since the company that gave me this water bottle offered me $2,000 a year to be on their advisory board. But I do like the water bottle. They used to have torque management for weak transmissions. It was junk limit throttle for the shift. And I wonder if that's what it's going to be like for the Mustang Mach-E. You know what I'd really be interested in? If there's a car YouTuber out there that could get a Ford Mustang Mach-E before it gets this update from the recall, after it gets the update from the recall, and compare them. Like do a drag race with both of them, see how fast they are, see if the acceleration changes, top speed, or any of that stuff changes. I mentioned it because it's my channel. Rick Trajan. That's my channel. How did Ford get to the point that they're shipping out insufficient contacts? These type of contacts are not exactly new technology. Their engineers should never have cut it that close. You know, that's an excellent question. And I think like when you look at like this guy Sandy Monroe did a teardown of the cooling system of the Mach-E and a lot of the tubing and stuff, and then he compared it to a Tesla Model 3 when you can open up that one, and it does, like there is a part of me that wonders, was this rushed just to get an electric option to market? This interesting thing is if you look at the Nissan Leaf at the inside of it, and then you look at something like the Tesla Model 3, like again, the Model 3 has so many failings. It's a meme in so many ways. But like they did design that to be an honest-to-God electric vehicle. It wasn't like a Me Too offering. It wasn't a compliance car. It was built from the ground up to be what it was. What is better for Lewis, integral or proportional derivative gain? I'm a proportional gain kind of guy. So instead of having 0.7 proportional gain, 305 integral gain, I'll have 10 to 20 integral gain, but 2.7 to 3 proportional gain. I'm a proportional gain kind of guy because I like control. Have they tested this new profile with the damaged BMS module over time? No. Well, I mean, if you're issuing a fast update because the connectors or the contactors are overheating and burning, then I imagine most likely you're not testing it with a lot of time because you don't have a lot of time. You need to issue an update right now because you need them to not go on fire right now. Thank you, Felix. I like my XT90s though. Whatever it is that comes stock on the BBS HD controller, it's absolute crap. But I don't use those controllers anymore anyway. Anytime I see that connector on anything, I just cut it off and put an XT90. Cerium 398 says, A is the number of vehicles in the field. B is the rate of failure. C is the cost of the average lawsuit. A times B times C equals X. If X is less than the cost of a recall, we don't do one. That's sad. I spent almost $20,000 doing a recall earlier this year. Labor, parts, shipping both ways. And there was no calculation done. There was one calculation done. Percentage likelihood of reputation being sullied if any one of these devices fail. That was it. Because we don't have a business if we don't have a reputation. It's not even about the lawsuit. You don't have a business if you don't have a reputation, if people can't trust you. Is there any information on changes to charging profiles? I don't know. Thank you, Glenn. I don't know what you mean, Wes. I am behind by 10 minutes. Over in Europe, they've got massive graveyards of little electric vehicles that they've used for police cars and such. Dead batteries cost more to replace than an entirely new car. That's sad. It is cheaper to fix a defect by software because no trip to mechanic manufacturer has to pay for. American Auto jokingly talk about why not to recall. Well, it depends on what you call a fix. If I forget to apply thermal paste to 100 computers, and I say, well, I'm going to issue a software update that lowers the clock speed of those computers so you don't have to worry about overheating anymore, is that a fix? I mean, you don't have overheating, but have I fixed your problem? It really depends on your definition of fix, and I think you have to stretch the definition of fix for that to make sense. Hi, Anne. How are you? Right to repair is also a thing in Austria, thanks to you. Not to me. I haven't done a damn thing in Europe. Actually, I lied. I've had one attorney who's been engaging with the FTC here in the United States, who has spent a lot of time engaging with regulators in Europe to try to get them to have some interest, because the FTC in the United States has shown very minimal interest, which it would be great if that changed, but spend a good amount of money writing a white paper after Biden issued his executive order on right to repair. Actually, I spent that money before. So I figured, oh, that's good money that I spent after Biden issued his executive order on right to repair, asking the FTC to actually look into things. Government. What's your view on DJI and the drone repair program? You know what? I don't know a damn thing about them and their drone repair program. Haven't heard anything about it until just now, and I haven't heard when you asked the question. What did you plug the mic into? It looks like a weird flashlight. This is a Zoom H1n. This is a very useful device. So the first thing that makes it useful is that it provides plug power. So if you have a microphone like this DPA that works with phantom power or plug power, it will work with it. I can't plug this microphone just straight into a mic port on a phone or a laptop. It needs like 2.5 to 5 volts of plug power. The second thing that it does is it records internally to an SD card. So if I want to do a bike video, I usually record my audio with this, and then I may do a clap, and then I sync it up to the audio that's built into my DJI dashcam, and then I upload that, and so you actually have good audio in bike videos rather than garbage audio. And it also triples as a recording interface, so I can plug this into my laptop, and now I have an audio interface for my computer that works with a microphone that has plug power. Very useful. They also make the Zoom H4n, which actually has XLR inputs, and it doubles as an audio interface just like this one does. So it's very portable. It fits easily into my pocket. And something that fits into my pocket can be an audio interface and an audio recorder. It's quite useful. I am behind by 9 minutes. I'd like to see Monroe Associates do the before and after testing. I think it would be really cool if somebody who actually wanted to spend $100,000 on 2 Mustang Mach-E's would be open to getting one before the update and one after the update to see how they work. What are your thoughts on the EU causing Apple to USB-C? I don't care. That's not my wheelhouse. I don't care. I don't care what port they use. I genuinely don't care. What I care about is, do I get access to the part when I need to fix it? You can use USB-C. You can use Lightning. You can use a fucking cloaca from a starfish. I don't care. Can I buy the port to fix it when it breaks? By the way, did you know? Here's what I am interested in when it comes to ports. If you're in Apple's independent repair provider program, an Apple authorized service center, or if you use Apple's self-repair program, can you buy a replacement port for your iPhone? No, you can't. So that's my wheelhouse. That's where I start. That's where I come in to discuss the issue. Like what port they use, I don't care. I don't give a fuck. Will you planning have collaboration with One Row Live? Probably not, because I have nothing to contribute. I have nothing useful to contribute to him. 8 stages. I'm glad you ate something, man. And that wasn't just cheese from before. I think you're referring to the airbag, Sonya. Yeah, I saw that they have. Paul was telling me that they have like anything related to airbags will say scrap if dropped under the hood. Philip, I didn't rent a space that required a complete remodel, but I did do a giant remodel of my current space, which was really stupid because it was a waste of tens of thousands of dollars. I also moved to a space that cost $8,000 a month more than my old space, which I kick myself for every single day. Every single day. But moving on. When building a business, do you have any suggestions for reference to books to read for building business governance and establishing a good business model? Jim Camp start with no. Has nothing to do with building a business, but it's probably more important. When you say building business governance, I honestly, I don't even know what that means. Like the good business model, no. Like, what are you going to do something that is profitable? Are you doing something that people need? Focus on that first. Why the sunglasses? Because people asked for them. There was a vote earlier. Were you not here for the vote? There was a vote earlier in the video. You should rewind the video to see where there was a vote. People were asking me to put on the sunglasses, so I put it to a vote. And now they're here. What introduced you to electronics? I don't remember. A suit jacket and those shades would also require a memory wiping device. And a spouse that routinely emasculates and humiliates me. That then causes me to punch a comedian at the Oscars. It doesn't matter if a charging chip is standardized or not. If it doesn't matter if a charge port is standardized. So for instance, the new MacBooks use USB-C for charging and also for their peripherals. Yet, can I buy a CD3217 from Texas Instruments? No. So just because the charging port is standardized does not mean that I'll be able to get the parts that I need or the parts that are required to fix your stuff at all. I am behind by, I think, 3 minutes. I think I may have skipped over a lot of stupid questions. You had the video response from Europe on Right to Repair. Yeah, Margaret Vestager, I remember. I'm probably butchering her name. I apologize if I'm butchering your name. You have the right to butcher mine. You can spell it with one N. I won't mind. I think it was Margaret Vestager. I asked if she wanted to meet and get dinner while she was in New York City. Would have taken her to Fogo de Chao, my favorite steakhouse there. Zoom is rubbish in my horrible opinion. I agree, your opinion is horrible. Zoom makes excellent products. You have no taste. You ever miss meat? Sometimes, but when I miss meat, I usually go to a barbecue place like Casey's Rib Shack, and then I eat some. I'm probably going to go to Casey's Rib Shack in Manchester, New Hampshire tomorrow afternoon, actually. Should lower the light's power. You can't do that, and if I did do that, then they would diminish the purpose of the lights, which is why I have these sunglasses.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Can you describe your ideal breakfast? 2 fried eggs, some bacon, fried eggs with some garlic, some nice natural sea salt, and an avocado. Doesn't get any better than that. Crispy bacon. Good question on whether or not using a standardized charge port means that there would be a standard charge chip used. Very good question there. That's a good question. Louis is behind in chat. Why? Louis is behind in chat because there are 90 messages per minute. In order for me to read 90 messages per minute, it would mean that I would not only have to read your message, but also answer your question within about 0.66 seconds. Do you think I could read your message and answer your question in 0.66 seconds? Not really. So Don't Kill Carrots wins the award for the dumbest message in chat this evening. Congratulations. You actually believe that I can read every single minute of these messages in 0.6 seconds with an answer. I hate when chat gives me, makes me lose my faith in humanity. That's not nice. You can't be that stupid. Don't be that stupid. Is your laptop's fan on? Yes. This is an ultrabookish laptop. I don't know. The framework is a loud fan. Listen, if you have something with an ultrabook type thing, it's gonna make some noise. This is not an M1 MacBook, man. Listen. I like this laptop. It's from a company that values repairability. This is a framework. I stand with framework. I like the framework. I recognize that I'm going to be giving some things up. Every now and then, you're going to have to sacrifice a little bit for some of the principles and the things that you want. Like Richard Stallman used a fucking Lamote laptop. This shit did not even have suspend because he wanted to have an open source BIOS. I don't go that far with it. Like, I'm not going to go that far with it. Let me see. Can I look this up? Lamote Yilong. Sorry to hear that, Rob Brown. This is using Windows because I can't use DaVinci Resolve in Linux unless I have a discrete GPU. So in Windows, the DaVinci Resolve will work with a discrete GPU. I mean, without a discrete GPU. It'll work with Intel Iris. It'll work with almost anything. On Linux, DaVinci Resolve won't properly function unless you have an NVIDIA or an AMD graphics card. Now, there are some people that have claimed that if you install this different version of OpenCL or Mesa or some shit, that you'll be able to get Resolve to work with Intel, yet none of them can provide proof that they've ever managed to make this happen. And I spent 6 hours fucking with it, and I couldn't figure it out, so I said, fuck this, and I went back to using Windows on this machine. But yeah, Lenote Yilong. Let's see, can I find a picture of this thing? This is what Richard Stallman was using. Oh, you could even see him hugging it. Oh, this is so weird. This is so weird. Look at him. He's actually hugging it. But this, to my knowledge, this laptop did not even... we're not talking about Hibernate. This thing doesn't have suspend. By the way, this stream is brought to you by Comcast Internet, which is why it took 5 seconds to load a Reddit thread. But, yeah, actually, I can't see the picture. Where's the picture? I was promised a picture here. Okay, I guess no picture. Look at this. Look at this. Lamote. This little piece of shit. It's an absolute piece of shit. But, you know, you're going to give some things up to... If I used the M1 MacBook, would I have more processing power and less fan noise? Yes. Would I probably have more battery life? Yes. Would I get a schematic? No. I want my schematic. I got my priorities, man. Now, in all seriousness, what I'm hoping is that as companies like this is their first offering, right? My hope is if companies like this make more money, they'll be able to get more investment. People will actually believe, wow, I'm not throwing away my money if I invest in a company like Framework. If they get more investment and more money and more customers, it'll be easier for them to produce better products. This is their first product. It's a repairable product. I'm not putting this next to the best Dell, the best ThinkPad, the best MacBook. and saying, well, you know, it doesn't have the battery life of the best MacBook, or it doesn't have the, I don't know, thermal performance of the best ThinkPad, so I guess I'm not going to use it. I see it for what it is. A small new company that is trying to break into an area that is mostly multi-billion-dollar companies that have already been established for 20 to 30 years. HP, Dell, Lenovo, Apple, companies that have been around for 20 to 40 years with multi-billion-dollar pedigrees. This small startup is like, we're going to come in. I get it. The laptop that they come out with is not going to be perfect. It is my hope that they are successful based on their mission, because again, their mission is a mission that none of these other manufacturers share. Is Apple giving you a schematic? Is Dell giving the repair shop a schematic? Is anybody else trying to go out of their way? Like, look at how you replace the screen on this shit. Look at this. Look at this. You want to try to replace the screen on a fucking MacBook? It'll literally torch. Try to replace the screen. I dare you. Try to replace the LCD cell by itself without breaking it, with taking it apart. Look at my video on replacing a MacBook Air screen on this channel. Look at this. Look at this shit. Not even screw. This shit's held in by magnets. You take out 8 screws and the screen just comes out. It's beautiful the way that they've put this machine together. So my point here is, I get that this machine is kind of a beta. It's like, it's a beta. It's a work in progress. But I'm happy to deal with its shortcomings, because there's a greater long-term goal here, to value companies that value this type of repairability. And it's difficult to do that. Like, there are people that shit on Tesla for not being very repairable. And that's a very good point. But when you look around, Ford, General Motors, Toyota, Honda, and Nissan spent a combined $24 million trying to convince you, or I guess at least if you're in Massachusetts, that right to repair is associated with sexual assault, being beaten in a parking lot, racism, and redlining. And home invasions. Home invasions, sexual assault, racism, redlining, and getting beat in a parking lot. It's really difficult to find a company. Like, there are many industries where even if you want to vote with your wallet, you can't, because every option in some way is dirty. Here, it's a clean option. I'm giving up the track point. I remember saying on stream many times, I'm never using a laptop without a track point. And here I am using a laptop without a track point. Because I'd like to send a message. They did what they were supposed to do. I will do what I'm supposed to do. And I will use the product. And I will be happy with the product. And I will enjoy that its fan sounds like a DJI drone that's flying 100 feet above me. It really does. It does sound like it sounds like a DJI drone. I'm not going to lie. But what are you going to do? Jelly says, hey, Louis, can you talk about female humans and where to find them? Do you think love is real? I've been swiping on Tinder, but oh my God, I get a date once a year. Okay, so let's go over this. I'll go over, actually, let me look. Holy shit. John Hall with $100. I like your douchebag glasses because my regular glasses that I had to be fitted for look very similar, just not as badass a tint. Love that you're putting your money where your mouth is in regard to framework. Thank you. And again, just to be clear, they also sent me one of these for free. But again, to be clear, I've gotten a lot of shit sent for free that goes straight in the garbage. If I had to buy a new laptop, I most likely would have bought this thing. Yeah, so I went into the eyeglass store, and there was a woman behind the counter, very helpful. And she's like, what are you looking for? And I said, I'm looking for glasses that I think would suit me, but I don't have much fashion taste. Can you find something that you think fits my personality? And she brings me these. And then I look at her after I put them on, and I go, you must think I'm a douchebag. And she has a giant smirk on her face. She doesn't deny it. She has a giant smirk on her face, and I said, I'll take them. And I had a smirk on my face back. So that's the story of how I got these sunglasses in Miami. It was funny. Secretly using a green screen to change the location. No, this isn't a green screen. Yeah, let's see. How can I prove it? Yeah, can I open the window? Actually, does that count? I'll open the window. Oh, shit. This window doesn't open. I just fucked myself. Oh, shit. Huh. This lock. Well, fuck me. Okay, then. Oh, at least that window opens. Good to know. Good to know. Okay, I got a break though. Okay, so going back to Jelly's question, that was an interesting one. Talk about female humans, where to find them. Do you think love is real? I've been swiping. Okay, so the first thing you're doing wrong is you're using dating apps. Dating apps are just, they profit off of your misery. Eventually, you'll become so miserable with getting no matches that you'll pay to be boosted, you'll pay to be in more people's profiles, you'll pay to do more swipes. They profit from you being miserable. It's that simple. Stop wasting your time with that shit. I don't recommend people use dating apps. You shouldn't take relationship advice from me because it's going to be bad. But I would say that you should do something like engage in speed dating, or literally do what I did yesterday while I was drunk. Yesterday while I was drunk, for the few of you who caught that stream, I was literally walking around the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And I was literally just saying good evening to women as I walked by. Now, every woman on that stream, again, to be fair, I was holding a camera with an obvious looking microphone on it, which is going to change the results a little bit. I would say probably 98 out of 100 women will pretend you're not there. One will say, fuck you. One will say, hi. Now, here's the thing. When you finally get a conversation going, here's the thing that's really important when it comes to things like speed dating versus Tinder. On Tinder, you don't learn anything from your rejection because you don't even experience the rejection. See, there's an upside and there's a downside to not experiencing rejection. On Tinder, the upside is you don't feel bad that you got rejected. The downside is you don't learn anything from it. So if you do something like speed dating is where you'll let's say you'll have 5 men, 5 women, you'll sit down and you'll spend 5 minutes talking, play musical chairs, and everybody moves one seat over. And then at the end of the night, if any of you like the other, you put their name in a little box, and then at the end, and then they swap contact information. They'll give you the contact information of the other person if you both put each other's name in the box, something like that. At least you had a conversation. At least you got something out of it. If you make an approach and it doesn't work, at least you learned, okay, here's how this approach works with this type of woman and blah, 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 blah. When you're on a dating website, you learn nothing from your rejection. So if you send an email, let's say you send a message in OkCupid, because OkCupid's all about those long first messages. Because there's no character limit. You can just write some ridiculous first message. You could put a lot of time and investment into reading somebody's profile and sending a message and this, that, and the other and get nothing back. So you're not learning anything from the experience. In real life, each rejection comes with its own personalized, bundled learning experience, which is why I think that the online platforms suck. A lot of these online platforms are dulling our ability to socialize in the real world, and I would dare say that they're actually dulling your ability to socialize in the online world. Again, the upside of these platforms, which is that you don't get to experience the rejection, is, I would argue, even a bigger downside, because you don't get to learn. You don't get to, I don't know, it's like a knife that you sharpen over time. You just always have to keep it sharp or it gets dull. Again, admittedly, for me, in 2017 and 19, I found it a lot easier to approach women than I did after leaving a 3-year long-term relationship. Because it's like, oh shit, I forgot how to do this. I forgot what works and what doesn't. But that's, again, it's like sharpening a knife. You don't sharpen your knife for 3 years, it gets dull after a while. You need the experience of doing that. So get off of these fucking platforms and go out there into the world. Go to a bar at Fogo de Chao. Walk down the street. Join a book club. I don't fucking know. But you have to get used to actually talking to real people. This is a difficult thing to do. It sucks. You're going to experience insane amounts of rejection, and it's going to feel like shit. But at the end of the day, go back to my video about looking in the mirror and hating yourself. What do you hate more? Getting 1 date a year off of OkCupid, or getting rejected in person when you talk to women? No, it's up to you. Again, don't take relationship advice from me. My relationship life is a clusterfuck. But what I would say is, real person rejection is something you can learn from. Online rejection, you're not sharpening the knife at all. You got to sharpen your skill set. Okay, that's a retarded question, so we time you out. Next. Has inflation affected the repair industry? That's a good question. So let me explain how inflation affects the repair industry. If you notice, car manufacturers have raised their prices, house prices have gone up, gas prices have gone up, food prices have gone up. A MacBook is still $999. So let's just go over this on Apple.com. So when I started in this industry, when you go to Apple.com and you would go to buy a MacBook, it was about $999 typically for a base model MacBook. like the average MacBook, right? And when you go here and I go to apple.com and I go view pricing, MacBook is still $999. So when I started in this business in 2008, a MacBook was $999. An A1181 was $999. In 2022, a base level MacBook is still $999. In 2008, a base level MacBook did what 99% of everybody who is ever going to buy a Mac needs it to do. And in 2022, I would argue that a base level MacBook M1 does what 99.999% of everybody who's ever going to buy a MacBook is going to need it to do. However, rent costs more now. My employees are then going to say, hey man, my rent costs more, I need more money. Hey man, my food costs more, I need more money. My landlord is going to, landlords are going to say, hey, everything costs more, I need more money. So now repairs, you can't, typically the way repair works is you are charging a percentage of what it would cost to replace the device to fix it. And there's usually a sweet spot around 30% or so. If a repair costs more than 30 to 40% of what it would cost to buy a new one, the customer says, fuck it, sells the broken one, buys a new one, and calls it a day. You need to be able to meet that certain percentage. So what does that mean for me? That means that I can't raise my prices with inflation because technically in my particular industry, there is no inflation. My employees experience inflation. I experience inflation. However, that fundamental formula that my customers use for what they should do, it's affected by cost to repair, cost to replace. Since the cost to replace has not changed for my customer, I can't raise my prices. So what inflation does is it royally fucks all of us pretty much. So it takes the repair industry and it moves it one step towards being a less viable industry. Now, since technology prices tend to deflate with time and living expenses tend to inflate with time, eventually we will come to the point where the business that I have and that I have as I know it will no longer exist and will no longer be profitable. Now, I've accelerated that curve by, right before COVID happened, moving to a rental space that cost $8,000 a month more than my old rental space, spending over $60,000 to get all the equipment and tools and renovate and do the floor and all that shit because the floor when I moved in there did this and I actually wanted people to be comfortable. My old office, the floor was kind of flat, but it was like this for me and it really hurt my back. I didn't want my employees to have back pain and be like, you're already doing this all freaking day long. So I didn't want them to be uncomfortable in addition. So I kind of accelerated my descent into being a non-viable business by moving to a place that was more expensive right before the world fell apart. But yeah, that's how inflation at least affects my repair business. I can't speak for everybody's business. Maybe it's different in the automotive world because again, in the automotive world, your cost to replace has gone up. Like car prices have gone up. Cost in lots of other industries have gone up. In my specific niche industry, the cost to replace a MacBook is literally the same that it was 13, 14 years ago. But the cost of me to my staff, for them, it has gone up. Now, the way that I've dealt with this over time is you just got to get better at what you do. Instead of, again, you're not replacing a display assembly, you learn how to replace the LCD cell by itself. We've gotten better at data recovery, so even if the heads are bad in a drive, that's a much higher profit margin service than just software data recovery. Replacing the LCD cell by itself is much more profitable than replacing the entire lid. Fixing a motherboard is more profitable than replacing a motherboard, and so on and so forth. So what we've done to fight the fact that that the tech business is deflationary while our living environment is inflationary is you find ways to do work that is more profitable by getting better at your craft as time goes on. So that's why you constantly have to be improving in this industry. There's no such thing as being stagnant. If you are stagnant, you will eventually just be gone because what you do will no longer be viable. Even if you keep your skill set up, it's just something that will eventually become inviolable. We have less than 50% the number of likes as we do viewers. So I'm going to punish you all right now with a picture of Tim Cook. Until there's more likes in the video, you will get to see a picture of Tim Cook smiling as he looks up at something with his hands together. So let's see if we can fix that. Okay, so that you guys are going to be in jail until there are more likes on the video. You get to stare at Tim Cook. Nope, not enough. Still 200 likes below the view count. So I did say in yesterday's video I was going to start doing this again. It is unfortunate, but such is life. Algorithms must be played, or this channel will literally be dead. And this channel is actually helpful for Right to Repair. You know, I was able to raise a good amount of money, get some good lobbyists going, and all that kind of stuff. So, be right back. I'm going to refill my water. And when I refill my water, hopefully the likes are up so that I can get this picture of Tim Cook off of the screen. Okay, that'll do. Continue. I am behind by 20 minutes in chat. Let's read. Did you hear about Unco filing for bankruptcy? I haven't, but I've never gotten their stuff because they never really, their receivers were never really work well with 4-ohm loads. Yeah. The older ones did, like the M282 amp did, but like a lot of their receivers didn't like 4-ohm loads. That doesn't work for me. Okay, so I missed 6 minutes of chat. Anything from 11:28 to 11:36 is gone, unfortunately. Why an NDA framework? I can't speak about that, unfortunately. I touched on this issue on this channel at one point in time, 13 months ago. I'll give you a hint. 13 months ago, I discussed an intellectual property issue on this channel. Let's see if you find it. Can press 250 pounds, cannot open a window. Well, I've actually been weak with my shoulder press. I am working on that. Jamie says, women, we are here at the laundry, grocery, parks, everywhere. That is true, but some people are open to being approached in those areas, and some get really mad if you even just say hello in those areas. It depends. Why are you wearing sunglasses? Because the chat asked me to wear them earlier in the video, and we had a vote, and they voted for me to wear them. I wasn't expecting you to get up and prove it wasn't a green screen, but that was hilarious. That's fucked up. Now I know that the fucking window doesn't open. Like the other windows here open, but that window doesn't open. That's bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. Oh, but such is life. I'm too scared to leave my home and certainly can't talk to women. I mean, okay, with that is beyond an issue that I can help you with. So for Terrible Gamer, I'm too scared to leave my home and I certainly can't talk to women. I accept at an early age that I'm going to die alone. Hurts, but I focus on other things. Being sad forever is okay. Okay, firstly, being sad forever is not okay. It's fucking horrible and pathetic, and you shouldn't seek to do that. Secondly, being too scared to leave your home, seek a therapist. You don't. Here's the thing. One second. Yeah. Lots of people need therapy. Like a lot of people need therapy, and very few people actually seek out therapy. The brain is a very twisted and fucked up thing. It's not a normal, like, again, look at the rest of your body. See how everything just flows and is normal? Look at how tangled and fucked up this thing is. Look at this. Look at this. I'm going to show you a picture. You better be paying attention, Terrible Gamer. Look at this. Do you see how fucking tied up into a knot this is? You need to go to somebody from time to time who is going to take that shit and untangle it. Many people have tangled brains. It's the way it is. Like, you're okay going to a doctor if you break your arm. If you have a heart attack, it's totally normal that an ambulance escort you away to a hospital. Yet for some reason, when people are completely okay with typing, I'm afraid to go outside, I cannot talk to women, I have accepted that I will die alone, that's just normal. You know that you would go to a doctor if you had a broken arm. You would go to a doctor if you were having a heart attack. You would go to a doctor if you couldn't breathe. Hell, your neighbors would demand that you get rolled to a doctor. When I got a concussion because I fell off of my bike when I went over that construction area that had the oil slip on that metal plate, I didn't call an ambulance. Somebody else ran over to me and said, "Oh wow, he has a concussion. Let's get him taken to an ambulance." In fact, I got sent a bill for $1,300 even though I didn't call the ambulance, because that's how shit works in America. But that's a rant for another video. And that's normal. That's an accepted part of our culture. But you can say, and I quote, "I'm too scared to leave my home. I accepted at an early age I'm going to die alone, and being sad forever is okay." It's not okay. That's fucking horrible. That's a miserable life. I wouldn't want to live like that, and who the fuck else would? Go see a therapist. Your life doesn't have to suck. It really doesn't have to suck. If you can't go outside your home to see your therapist, there are many ways to access therapeutic resources online. But yeah, go seek a therapist. There are lots of people that are walking around completely broken because we have a society that stigmatizes seeking help for mental issues. Like, seek help. Listen, I got a concussion. I went to a hospital. They checked it out. They checked me out. There's nothing in here. Nothing wrong in there. Why would an apartment have an openable window? I don't know. Ask New Hampshire landlords. A mutual friend set me and my husband on a blind date at work. 13 years later, we are still happily married. Bam. See? Do what ended. When is the next Drunk Lewis stream? We may do a drunk stream next Friday or next Saturday. I may do a proper, like, walking around, getting drunk on the Lower East Side of New York City, and then walking around with people. Like, we may do a proper version of that. There is a chance of me doing a proper version of that.
Oh, sweet mercy.
I wonder if Lewis is a laid-back boss or a more militant one. It really depends on what's needed at that point in time. If you go to work and everybody's doing their job, I'm a very laid-back boss. If I go to work and people are doing lines of cocaine off of a key 3 hours after the store closes, I'm very militant. You know, it is what it is. Whether I'm a laid-back boss or a more militant one depends on what needs to be done and what is going on in my store at the point of time that I walk in. I've seen a massive increase in the cost of technology over the last couple of months. Computers, phones, drives all seem to be increasing in price. You know, I've noticed drives increasing in price, like the external drives that we get to sell customers for data recovery. Are you anti-Bitcoin? Your recent video seems to throw shade at it. I am not against people who wish to use it. I'm not saying that it should be illegal. So to be clear, there's many different ways that you could define anti. So for instance, some people who are anti-skateboard may simply say, I wish to not ride a skateboard. Other people who are of the Karen derivative may say, I'm anti-skateboard, therefore I believe it should be illegal that you ride it. I am totally fine with you if you wish to purchase Bitcoin, if you wish to use Bitcoin to transact in your daily or personal life, that's fine. Me personally, I am not putting my money into shit that's like, again, I'll buy stock in a company, I'll get a currency that is based on the economy of that country. I don't feel like buying crypto shit. Like, it's not for me. But by all means, you do you. But I'm not for me. It's like, again, there is that Austrian economic theory, which is something is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. So again, like even the U.S., at least like the dollar or the Swiss franc or something, it's based on the economy of those countries. Now again, you can look at the economy of any of our countries. And you can there's a lot to criticize there. There's a lot to criticize, but there is something to criticize: an economy. And I don't want this to become a crypto thing, because every stream winds up becoming a crypto pile-on when we get into that. Like, everyone, like. Thank you, Alana Lorenz. Thank you. Okay, I am behind by 10 minutes. Let's get more. I have never tried squat 1 rep max. Before I hurt my leg, I was able to do 255 for a set of 10. I do squats and deadlifts 3 to 4 times a week, and I wanted to beat Orhan in a race, so I tried to mix sprint running training into that. So I would do 30-meter, 100-meter sprints, and I would time myself. And because I was doing squats and deadlifts 4 times a week already, I didn't have a lot of time to recover, so I was trying to sneak in the sprints. And I also had a quadricep tear in 2016. That was a really bad idea. So needless to say, it's going to be a while before I do that again. Recently, I did 225 for a set of 6, so I'm slowly taking it back up. Like I sprained my left quadricep. No tear, thankfully. But that's, yeah. Because somebody said, why are all your lifting posts upper body? Do you skip leg day? I don't skip leg day. I just don't have an impressive leg day. There's me doing 7 or 9, I think it's 9 deadlifts. 7 or 9 deadlifts at 300 pounds is somewhere on this channel. And I've done 8 deadlifts at 315 before. I have done 10 squats at 255, but I never posted it. But yeah, I'm not going to be, I have nothing impressive to post for leg day. Like at this point in time, my bench press is higher than my squat, which is a joke. Like I can do 225 for a set of 9 to 11 bench press and only 6 squat because I'm playing it easy on my leg, and I also do about 20 minutes of foam rolling every single day until I'm back on track there. Have you heard of the Canadian housing market state? I haven't heard of it, how it's going down. I've just seen it continuing to do this. It seems to be doing this at a higher slope than America, which is crazy. And it's very depressing. Thank you, Elkus. But I feel bad that you gave me $5 when you should be saving that for, 0.0001% of your monthly mortgage payment. I just read the book Codependent No More, and I would talk about it with you, but I have an obsessed tooth, and I can't talk to the pain. Huh. That's actually a good book. I read the first 3 or 5 chapters of that. What I learned from that book is that I'm a horrible, horrible boyfriend. At least if I'm with somebody who's codependent, what I learned from that book is that I will bring out the worst in them. I learned a lot about myself from reading that book. The quartering is here. Hello, quartering. Let's see. Why are you wearing these sunglasses? For the last time, because in the beginning of the stream, 5 people asked me to do so, so I put it to a vote, and the people in the chat massively voted in favor of me wearing these ridiculous sunglasses. So here we are. Smooth-brained ape over here. Hello, ape. Do you still talk to Crystal and Sagar? I did 1 show with them ever, and that was that. I don't have anything against them, really. I don't follow them much, but I don't have anything for or against them. They asked me to show up for 1 show, and I enthusiastically accepted, and we had a lovely time, and that was that. I came across a video that talks about how a high cost of living inhibits job hiring. Workers decide to pass on jobs on employees. Employers lose on potential employees. Any thought? I have no thought because that's not very specific. Yeah, not much thought there. Like, there's a high cost of living in New York City, but I think one of the reasons that people will come to New York City is because again, I shit on New York City a lot for 2 reasons. A, I lived there for 32 years, so I have a lot of knowledge and firsthand experience, so I know exactly what to shit on. And B, it's advertised as this amazing place. Like there's a lot of small places in the United States that are like there's a lot of small Republican red like towns with 1 or 3,000 people that are absolute shitholes. But the reason that I don't shit on them as much is A, I don't live there, and B, like they know it's a shithole. Like New York City paints itself as if it's this on top best city capital of the world kind of shit when it's a shithole. But like, the crappy places in the United States where you have nothing but a Dollar General, a Waffle House, and a Walmart, like they know it's a dump. They're not trying to advertise it as if it's the end all be all place to show up in the world that is worthy of $500 per square foot real estate. Like no, like they're honest with themselves. They know it's a fucking dump. But yeah, like a lot of people will come to areas like New York, even though the cost of living is high, because the opportunity is high. There are places in the United States where cost of living is low, but again, your economy is essentially a Dollar General and a Waffle House, and it's like fuck that. There is in between, of course. Manhattan has a population of 1.6 million. Fort Lauderdale about 185,000. Would you be willing to accept 90% fewer walk-in customers? I'd be willing to accept 100% fewer walk-in customers if my rent went down and my employees went down by 50%. If I move, I would only be taking about 30 to 40% of my core staff. The others would be let go. Now, there are people that say, why don't you just give them the New York store? Because the New York store is not profitable. So if I give it to them, I'm giving them something that they would not be able to use to pay themselves. I would be taking the profitable part with me, and I would be leaving them with the debt. But yeah, the thing is, if I would only have 50%, my mail-in business is 50% of my business. So if I lose the walk-in business, I'm assuming that if I move, I'm actually assuming that I am losing 100% of walk-in business regardless of where I go. That's my assumption, because I think that's the safe way to plan. So I'm also planning on a staff reduction of 50% as well. Now, if my staff is reduced by 50% and my rent goes down by 75%, I could literally lose 100% of my walk-in business and not give a shit, which is what I'm leaning towards. But also, Florida has not been decided as a final location yet. After the audit, we'll come up with a final location. Once the audit is over, we'll come up with a final location. Well, since you're complaining, I'm going to time you out permanently. Bye-bye, Rick Bearcat. Bye-bye. Honestly, there's nothing more annoying than people complaining about moderation in chat. It just annoys me. So hopefully I've given you something to whine about permanently. Seriously, go away. I'm behind that chat by 10 minutes. If you're going to bitch in my chat, like, here's the thing. I can only read so many messages, right? I can only read so many messages because the way YouTube works is this window actually doesn't save the old messages. So if I don't read them in time, they're permanently gone. So anything that's junk, I have an incentive to figure out what do I throw away. And you've given me an excellent incentive to throw away. Just got on. Hope you're having a good evening. I'm having a lovely evening, Paul. Thank you very much. That's $20 too much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the back and forth emails. It was cathartic to be able to discuss all that with somebody. But thank you very much. I hope all's going well with you. Just got an idea. You, Destiny, and Ava should start a men's health podcast. Too many men's health podcasts are anti-women, but I think you guys would do a good job. I don't know what you would consider anti-woman. Some people consider anti-woman when you say, I hate women, or fuck this bitch. And there are other people that consider it anti-women when you are a man that advocates for yourself. Like, so I don't know what you mean when you say anti-women. Because again, like to me, anti-woman means something very differently than what, say, some of my more progressive neighbors in New York would think it means. Why not move your business to Canada? Because I don't hate my life. I don't hate myself. So no, I'm not doing that. No. What is your view on cocaine? I fuck cocaine. I've had 2 friends that have died of quote natural causes after doing cocaine like 5 times a day. So yeah, it's funny how their heart naturally goes out at their early 40s. Yeah, fuck cocaine. Okay. Okay, where am I? The Karen derivative. I want to name a physical concept that. Can you please consider unlisting streams instead of privating them? It's so disappointing not being able to watch them fully. Listen, is me walking around the Lower East Side, drunk off Everclear, saying hi to random women who pass by really something that, like, I want to leave up? Probably not. Like, how put this? Like, there's a lot of them that I unlist instead of private, but if I have drank a good portion of Everclear and I'm walking around the Lower East Side. Oh, there was another thing. There was apparently somebody was honking. Somebody told me there was a guy that just kept honking, so I walked up to his car and I said, fuck off with that shit. Stop honking at people. Like, it's probably best that I just delete that shit. You know, I don't know. No, request considered and denied. As someone who has fluctuated from 220 to 240 since high school with almost zero workout routine from walking to and from my car, what should I do at home? Try this thing called Highway Fit with Rob Richard. Highway Fit, Rob Richard. You'll like that. Actually, no, you'll hate that, but you can do it at home. Hate to tell you, but deadlifts do more harm than good. I hate to tell you, but you're incorrect. Most of the time when people start with I'm sorry, but, or I thought you were smart, but, so you should know this, it usually means that they're saying something that's incorrect. No, deadlifts are not doing long-term damage to your back and wrists. Maybe if you do them like an idiot. Deadlifts are fine. Deadlifts are fine. If you deadlift with a horribly curved back or something, then no, it's not, but deadlifts are absolutely fine. Mount Lewis went to Spectacle Theater for the midnight show, just sat down, only one here. I hope you enjoy the show, Jamie. Why are you the only one there? Wait, where is Spectacle Theater? I'm going to Google this. Where are you, Jamie? There's no way you're in South Williamsburg at a theater and you're the only one there on Saturday night. There's something off with that. South Williamsburg is not that dead. If you hang out with Gamers Nexus again anytime soon. If he comes to Manhattan, yeah. Like, I mean, I don't review desktop computer components, so like we are in different spaces. I respect what he does. I like what he does. You know, he puts 110% effort into what he does, and he's also not a douchebag, which, you know, that's one of the highest compliments I could give. But he also, there's no seriousness. He's a good dude. It's just we do very, very different things. A lot of the podcasts I've seen are anti-women usually promote the idea that all women use men for money and to get ahead. I've only had one story ever of a woman that had zero interest in me until she thought that I was a multi-millionaire because she had went through something on my phone and made assumptions that she shouldn't have based on what she saw. And I did a video on that a while ago, but that was actually the only experience. There's actually two others. I actually have weird evidence. Again, I understand what other people have had as experience, and I'm not going to discount the experience of other men, but I've had two experiences to the contrary. There was a woman that I met a month ago that was debating whether or not to go out with me and then chose not to, who actually made the incorrect assumption that I didn't correct, that I was paying for all these lobbyists in all these states out of my own pocket because I was like apparently, she didn't know that I did a fundraiser for all this. She just thought that I was independently wealthy. And that didn't make any difference in her dating decision. There were actually two women where that happened to in the past 3 months. One I corrected afterwards. The other I like, you know what, I'll just let this ride just out of fucking curiosity. You didn't ask the question. If you're going to make assumptions, I'll just let it go. But yeah, I don't know. I do think that somebody who has money and who's able to take care of somebody and provide for somebody in the overall approach of like, should I stay or should I go? Is this person an interesting person or not? I think it does have a say. But it's weird. I've had two experiences this particular year where somebody mistakenly thought that I was a multimillionaire and they just said, yeah, not worth it anyway. No thanks. No thanks. Not worth it if I get, no, not worth it if I have to go out with you. One of them was actually a bullet that I dodged, luckily. One of them was what was honestly a fucking bullet. That was life. That was like dodging a bullet. Can we get more cat videos? Maybe. You know, AC. I don't have an air conditioner in this apartment. It's usually, like, I can usually have the window open at night and I'm just fine. I honestly thought I would have bought a house somewhere by now, but that's, eh. I had to start an after-school electronics club as it's something not taught in the UK. You think it should be available as an option? Yes. And shop class, too. It's really pathetic how many things that are actually useful got taken out of the education system. Like, would it kill you to learn how to use tools that are in a garage? Would it kill you to know how to use a hammer when you graduate high school? There's so much shit that you learn that you're never going to actually use. And the shit that you actually are going to use, it's sad. I use DaVinci Resolve to edit my videos, but 90% of them I actually don't edit. Nick Hobbs is getting timed out because you're copying and pasting shit, and sorry, man. You only get a certain amount of messages before YouTube gets rid of them in the chat window. So if you're copying and pasting stuff, I got to get rid of you. Because it messes with my ability to see everybody else's messages. I haven't thought about Asheville, North Carolina, honestly. Maybe I should visit and see Eli at some point. Do you think if you live in New York City long enough, you'll run into a crazy sex experience eventually? You know what? I'm not even going to get into that. Not even. You know, some questions are just... I wouldn't answer that question if you paid me. Definitely not answering it if you don't. But that's... Nope. Not a good sign if they're talking about money on a first date. Oh, I bring up everything on the first date, Hannah Anderson. I bring up everything. Do you want to get married or do you want something casual? Do you want kids? If so, how many? Who did you vote for? And why? Again, be clear. Don't care if it's against me. I just want to know what your thought process is behind it. Like, what do you know? How do you manage your money? Do you manage your money? Do you have $200,000 in student loan debt? Like, you know, what are your thoughts on debt in general? How do you use debt? I mean, honestly, I'm 33 years old. Like, I'm not wasting any time, you know? Like, I know what I'm looking for. A first date for me is not, oh, so look at how pretty the sunset is. Oh, do you want to, like, watch a movie? Like, no, fuck that shit. Like, I want to get down to it, you know? So I want to know as much as humanly possible. I'm an open book as well. Honestly, if I can figure out that shit before I start dating you, that's even better. But my journey to wealth started with a shop plus drafting class I took freshman year of high school. We designed things in AutoCAD and built them in the wood shop. It allowed me to get a job as a civil engineering firm when I was 15. You know, you're close to my age, and you had shop class. We didn't have any of that shit when I went to high school. Like, when I would watch television shows, there would be kids in the show that were talking about shop class in school, but I didn't have any of that. And particularly, the home that I grew up in, this is probably going to sound weird. My mother did not want me touching tools. When I was 17 years old, if I went into the garage to grab a screwdriver, she would yell at my dad and say, I can't believe you're letting him touch those things. I wasn't allowed to make myself a bagel. If I wanted to make a bagel with cream cheese and I was touching a knife, my mother would get mad that I was touching a knife in the kitchen. Like, that was the household that I grew up in. Like, there's a reason that I left. There's a reason that I fucking left there at the age of 17. But moving on, like, it would have been great to have had the opportunity to get experience with real tools somewhere else under the supervision of somebody that knew what they were doing. And it really sucks that modern education is missing all that shit. I guess trinomials are more important. For the record, you handle rejection like a champ. I have a friend who would... Huh? Oh, see, it went off the screen. It would get very vindictive when we rejected him. It would get kind of scary. Listen, okay, actually, I deleted that video from last night, but it's still on Rumble. If any of you want to go to Rumble, you can watch it. Like, there were probably 7 women where I said, hey, how are you? Or, good evening, nice to see you. They literally, like, you could look, because it's in the camera. They literally pretended I didn't say anything. They pretended I wasn't even there. And I had a smile on my face. Just keep it moving. Like, you can't take it too seriously. You can't get overly invested. The thing is, I think what happens is men get really invested in a particular outcome with a woman before they even ask them out, and they build this shit up in their head, and they take it so personally when they get a no or they get ignored. And it's like, you don't even fucking know this person. Who gives a fuck about them? Like, seriously, you just can't care. You know, it's one like Jim Camps has, again, I keep going back to this book, Start With No. It's a business negotiating book, but it really does have something for every area of your life. You have to have a blank slate. You can't be needy, and you have to have a blank slate. You go into something, you cannot expect to get a certain outcome. Or like, I hope I get this. Blank slate. If you cannot blank slate, you cannot have a negotiating session. And here's the thing. Talking to a woman for the first time is a negotiation. You're negotiating a conversation. Do we get to have a conversation, or are you just going to keep walking because you have zero interest? Or are you going to say no, or fuck off, or go away? You have to have a blank slate. If you're expecting to say, hi, how are you? Yeah, of course I'll go out to dinner with you. Then if you get anything but that, you'll become needy, and you'll try to do all this other shit to try to change the outcome. If you have a blank slate where you're like, I have zero expectations going into this, you're not going to get vindictive when you get rejected. Again, that's how I see it. Maybe it'll work that way for you. I don't know how it's going to work for you. Read that fucking book, Jim Camps, Start With No. There's an audiobook, but it's a real audiobook. It's an audiobook that's read with purpose and passion, because his best friend was actually one of the stories in the book. They got along very well. He understood Jim Camp's thoughts on negotiating, and he was personally invested because Jim Camp had helped him with his son in the hospital. So he read the book, but he didn't read it with this monotone voice that I'm reading an audiobook. He actually read it like he was just saying the words from Jim Camp's mouth himself. So I would highly suggest that you check out Jim Camp's Start With No. It's a good book. And one of the things that I'm really sad about is that I never made the time to reach out to him, to have him on the channel for an interview and just to sit down with him, to get questions from the audience, ask some questions myself, and just tell him how much he helped me with my own life before he passed away. He passed away a few years ago. It's 12 a.m. Why wear sunglasses inside? Unfortunately, we have used up our quota of answering this question. I believe I've answered this question on stream 9 times at this point. I cannot answer it anymore. I will answer it. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'll answer it for money. If you ask me in Super Chat, I will answer it. Yes, that is truly becoming a fucking sellout. I said it in the last video. You should work towards being able to become a sellout. I answered that question 9 times. You can either rewind it to find it, or you can pay me. For $50, I'll answer why I'm wearing sunglasses inside. How about that? How about that? Let's go full douchebag here. Finance class, how to make and stick to a personal budget. Yeah, like there's so much shit that people should... I get it, you know, trinomials, Pythagorean theorem, all this, but like how to budget, how to not fuck your life up. I don't know. There's a lot of shit that would be really cool to have in high school classes. Why no longer shooting from your shop? I did a video shooting from my shop yesterday. What are you talking about? Do you expect me to live there? Like, I don't live in my store. I don't live in my store. I don't live there. I will never sleep at work. You look like a retired hitman. You think Mark Zuckerberg knows you? Nope, I think he's got way too many other important things to think about me. Have you any M1 Max in your shop? Yes. So what I'd like to work on, as annoying as others. Why are you wearing sunglasses inside at midnight for $50? Holy shit. There you go. Well, I am wearing sunglasses inside for 3 reasons. A, my audience asked me to wear them. B, I put it to a vote earlier in the video, and you guys overwhelmingly voted in favor of it. And C, I actually noticed in the last stream that I did, I have these 2 lights that I use while I'm recording, and they're really bright, and the camera's right over there. So in my peripheral vision, not in my straight vision, but in my peripheral vision, I have these bright lights. And, you know, it's not horrible, but it's kind of annoying. If I put these on, now those lights in my peripheral vision are no longer annoying. And admittedly, I kind of like looking like a douchebag. I don't know. I think, again, I think there's a reason that when I said to so when I got these sunglasses, there was this woman working the counter at the sunglass store, and I asked her if, you know, what do you think would, what kind of sunglass, what kind of glasses fashion do you think would fit with my personality? And she got me these. I looked at her and I said, you must think I'm a douchebag. And she had a giant smirk on her face. And the moment I saw the giant smirk, I bought them. I said, I'll take them. So that's that. I asked to get sunglasses that match my personality. She gave me these. I don't know. I guess I'm a douchebag. I'm going to use that as recurring revenue. Every time I get that question, maybe I'll get $50 every time somebody asks that question. I'll take it. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Your dates sound like job interviews. Is this ever an issue? No, because it's not a job. I don't know. I kind of think it is a job interview. Being a husband is a job. Being a wife is a job. You're kind of interviewing for a job. Yes. Is this ever an issue? I mean, yeah. There's a lot of people out there that are not prepared for relationships, that never learned how to be in a relationship. There are lots of people that have no sense of emotional maturity. There are lots of people out there that are just walking around traumatized or scared because they had one bad relationship and now they're afraid to commit to anybody, or they're afraid to become vulnerable. You know when a really great time is to figure that out? The first date. The first date. You really want to figure that out on date 1. You don't want to figure that out after getting invested in somebody, being 3 months into it, 6 months into it, married to them. You really want to figure out if somebody's unable to commit, unable to be vulnerable, unable to connect, emotionally immature or stunted on date number 1. Louis, I think you're a wonderful, sexy professional business owner, and eventually you meet a wonderful, sexy professional business owner woman and have those dates that you want. I don't think I need to meet a business owner woman. I don't know. That's not really on my list of requirements. When I think of the things that I'm looking for, it's just, I don't care if the woman that I meet is a business owner or not. You seem more edgy than normal. That's your perception. You have a kitty as a thumbnail, so I think that's projection, because 99% of the time, the people that have a really strange-looking kitty as a thumbnail are usually edgelords. Seek within. Seek within, sir. What do you think is overrated looks-wise? Overrated looks-wise. Eyelash extensions. I was talking about that with my personal trainer yesterday. I hate those things. They look so tacky. That's why you are still single. What is why? That doesn't make sense. That's an incomplete sentence. That doesn't make any sense at all. What is that? Oh, well. Dumb comment. Next. Let's see. Fort Myers High School. That sounds like Florida. I kind of mean she's making assumptions on your wealth. I agree, talking about what you are looking for is cool. Yes. Did you enjoy your time slinging ShamWow on TV? You know, I don't use ShamWow. I'm very offended by that. I don't use the Britney Spears mic. I don't use the Crown 311. I don't use the Shure SM35. This is a DPA 4066, my friend. This is a Broadway level mic. This is not an advertising mic, you mother... Who said Fort Myers sucks? GTFO. I've never been there, but I don't know. That doesn't seem nice. My middle and junior high school had wood shop but no metal shop. High school did not have. Do you watch Review Tech USA? I don't know who that is. Lately, I'm watching a channel that fixes watches. Very into the right to her philosophy. Nice to watch companies are open to that. That is cool. I was never allowed to use the washer and dryer. I just had to wash my clothes when I wanted to. Yeah, I never even tried. I can imagine what would have happened if I tried to do that at home. I can get why. When I was 3 years old, I was very curious. There was this hole in the top of the vacuum cleaner, and my mother wouldn't tell me what it was for. So I thought maybe that's where the suction comes from. So I wanted to see if the rope would come out of it. So I kept putting a piece of twine up the vacuum cleaner to see if it would come out the other end. It doesn't come out the other end. What it does is it destroys the motor of the $200 vacuum cleaner that your parents purchased. So I went through about $1,000 of vacuum cleaners. And my mother responded by never letting me use tools, kitchen tools, or even a Phillips screwdriver in the house until I was 17 years old. I think that's overreacting, but to each their own. I was a very curious kid. Do you date women that are taller than you? I have no objection to dating women who are taller than me. I went out with a woman who was 3 inches taller than me for a year and a half, from 2017 to 2018. But most of the time, women are interested in men who are taller than them and are disgusted at men being shorter than them. There was one woman that I dated for a month, and I'm really pissed at this because my friend did not tell me that she had made off-color comments about my height prior to him telling her. So again, he told her that I had a crush on her before I had a chance to ask her out. And she responded with this, "Oh my God, he's short. Why would I go?" And then like apparently the person who worked at that gym knew who I was a fan of my YouTube channel, was following all my shit, and like looked at her and goes, "I can't believe what you just said about him," and just left the room. And my friend left the room at the same time, and she's like, "Oh shit. Why did these two people leave the room just because I said he was short? Fuck, maybe I made a mistake." So I ask her out, and she says yes, because she thinks, okay, maybe there's something to this guy if two people were both vouching for him. I didn't know that. If I fucking knew that, I would have never asked that bitch. I would never ask that lady out. Like, fuck that. You know, you're making fun of me for being short. But yeah, like I have no problem going out with somebody that's tall. I don't give a shit. And when I went out on the first date, this is another example. Maybe this will help that guy that said I'm afraid to approach women. The video gamer dude from earlier, but I haven't seen him in the chat recently, so he's probably gone. She made an off-color comment on the first date about the fact that, you know, like, I'm above you. And like, what are you talking about? We were talking about something that had something to do with a hierarchy. I forget exactly what it was, where she had the opportunity to say where she was. And she's like, I'm like, what do you mean you're not above me? She's like, no, look. And she made some reference with her eyes to the fact that she was taller than me. I'm like, no, you're not. She's like, yes, I am. So this was in the middle of Times Square. We're going to a Broadway show. I'm like, I just grabbed her, picked her up like off her feet very quickly, and she went, up. And I said, no, that doesn't look like you're above me to me. And she had a big smile on her face, like, hey, shut the fuck up. But at the end of the day, the point there is, if you're not bothered by the fact that you're short, it makes it less likely that the woman you're with will be as bothered by the fact that you're short. But there are a lot of women out there that are just bothered by short dudes. Like, go on Tinder, OkCupid, or Bumble. It looks like Six Flags. Like, you know, in Six Flags where they say you must be this tall to get on this ride? You must be this tall you must be forced. That's very much so what online dating is like. If you're not this tall, you don't get to go on this ride. But yeah, I have no problem dating women who are taller than me. I have no problem screwing with them if they're going to make, you know, ridiculous comments about the fact that I'm short. Like, you know, again, if they're jabbing at you to see how you react. So you jab at me, I'll jab right back. And honestly, that was kind of fun. Like that was kind of fun on that first date. That little like 30-second moment. I don't know. I thought it was fun. Getting to know her, unfortunately, after that was actually a very miserable experience, so I cut it off after about 2.5 weeks. There's a video on this YouTube channel with me talking to my personal trainer about the experience of meeting that woman. It's about 1.5 years old. I forget the title of it. If anybody here remembers the title of it, you can put it in the chat. But yeah, I have no problem dating people who are taller than me. It's just, usually it's not me having a problem with them being taller, it's them having a problem with me being shorter. I don't know. I don't put much time into thinking about it because, like, I can't change that, you know? Like, I've lost 33 pounds inside of a few months. I can control whether or not I'm in shape. I can control whether or not I have a good job. I can control whether or not I'm a good person. I can control my reputation, my income, my fitness. I can't fix. You can't fix being short, unfortunately. And any advice for a self-starter IT service owner to acquire small to medium business as clients? The only advice that I have is advice that you're 99% chance not going to do. you need to cold call a lot of places. It's cold calling and going door to door is going to get you. The thing is, nobody wants, like, the people who work in IT, the type of people who work tech are usually socially awkward and Asperger's itch bordering on full autistic. This is not the group of people that are going to do this. But like going door to door and doing cold calls is a big way that you're going to get more business. It's just, again, you can do the whole online marketing thing so you're blue in the face, make sure you show up on Google. At the end of the day, if you're having a problem and somebody shows up willing to solve the problem before you've actually even Googled it, then that you're going to have a better chance of getting that person as a client. I asked Kevin to start doing this again because we used to do that with school districts. I used to have several school districts buying screens from us. What I used to do is I didn't cold call. If I saw that there was a school that bought one screen from us, I would call and say, like, are you buying this just because, I don't know, Tiffany from Homeroom broke her computer, or are these the school's computers? Oh, that's the school's computer. Okay, how often do they break? And then I'd have a conversation and go from there, and then I'd start selling them 50, 100, 200. I stopped doing that recently. I really fell off, and I had a talk with Kevin the other day about this, and it's like, okay, so you make this much money working here. Now, how open are you to making potentially this much money working here? And he's like, yes. How open are you to constant rejection? And he's like, well, I go to Club Mission every Saturday nights, and so obviously I'm totally cool with being rejected. And it's like, okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. And we had a talk about coming up with a plan to call up a bunch of school districts to get back the business that we used to have. We used to have a lot of board repair business, screen business, all different types of business with school districts across the country. And I don't know, it just kind of fell off. Again, like, when we were working out of that small shop and we had 12 to 14 people working out of a 600 square foot space, there really wasn't a lot of time or space to be calling places. Now that business has died down a little bit, my rent is going to be going back up to $13,000 very soon. Yes, they will within the next 2 weeks. Those T-shirts are actually going to be available within the next 2 weeks, so stay tuned. We got a new provider of them. Thank you for asking, and I highly appreciate the $5. Those shirts are going to be available soon. What was I saying? Yes. So he's literally just going to start cold calling and emailing people. And like, again, 99 out of 100 of them are going to say no. But you got to be okay with that. Like Asset Genie, Jeremy Bilski called me 13 years ago. He must have gotten like $50,000 or $100,000 of business out of me just from that one fucking phone call. But again, how many people rejected him? Because he just cold called me to ask about buying and selling screens. Like 99 out of 100 people probably just hang up on the dude. But that's why Asset Genie has over 100 employees and a 35,000 square foot warehouse and a successful multi-million-dollar business. While I have a place that's 2,000 square feet, I'm looking to downsize. I have 12 employees, and I'm talking about potentially having 4 or 6 within the next year. You have to be willing to do some cold calling, and you have to be open to rejection. Practice your rejection. Go to Club Mission from time to time. Ask women to dance with you. It'll be great preparation. Oh, how about you advertising your channel that you were single? Would you ever date a viewer on YouTube again? I don't think I have a female audience. No offense to Anne, no offense to Carrie. I know I have 2. I don't believe there's much of a female audience there. So it's not a question that I have to entertain myself with. My Rainbow's canoe needs a new screen door. What's a rainbow canoe? That's odd. If you wine and dine a girl in New York City, good chance you're getting laid. Not even going to get into that one. I will say that is an assumption that I would not safely make. Okay, I'm behind on chat, 16 minutes. We're up to 12:20 a.m. Let's read some stuff. I like that you're well-read, Louis. Thanks for the suggestion. Am I well-read, Alana? Okay, actually, 3 women. Alana, Anne, and Carrie. And there's Catherine. I can't forget Catherine. Catherine with the kitty. 4 out of 1.7 million. So yes, that question is not one on my radar. Like your video about self-love, self-hate. Self-hate seemed to help me go back and graduate from college and lose weight. Conversely, I've also seen narcissists use self-love as an excuse to be dicks. Yeah, the latter is why I'm not the biggest fan of the whole self-love thing. Full douche mode activated. Damn straight. Would you sell your sold Apple for 500 trillion greenies? No. But I would for money. I've never put a number on the price that I would sell my sold Apple for. It's probably a lower number than most people on this channel think it would be, to be honest with you. Behind by 15 minutes. Let's scroll. When you move to Fort Lauderdale. That's not decided as a final location, but I can't move anywhere until my audit is over. When audit is over, we go from there. She succeeded in selling you these expensive glasses. You know what she did? She was a good, honestly, she was a good saleswoman. She was the consummate sales professional. How's the search in Florida going? It's not going because I'm back here. Once my audit is over, we'll go from there. You have specific standards for women outside of financial? Yes. What happened to Erica? We broke up 5.5 months ago. Actually, like 6 months ago. I found a new phone to upgrade to. No, I'm still using an S10e. Why do I have to upgrade? Like, I could get a better camera if I got a new phone, but most of the time when I use my phone as a camera, it's for live streaming, and mobile live streaming is garbage regardless of the phone that you use because it gets compressed so much by AT&T or Verizon or T-Mobile. Like, you get nerfed so much by them that it doesn't really even matter what kind of camera you have because you're streaming at, like 2 bits per second anyway. Kid, you fixed the mic. It cuts in and out a lot. You're the only one that said that, so probably no. I don't have any way to fix the mic because I don't know what's wrong with it. But also, nobody else has said that but you. So I don't think I can fix that. Wonder how much Louis would charge answer the never-ending ex-girlfriend. Holy that's a good fucking idea. Every time somebody asks, where is Erica, I'm going to tell them that that's a paid question. That's a fucking amazing opportunity right there. Glasses and glasses and like that's a good one. I'll even split the revenue with her, honestly. Would you go on a double date with Uncle Rich and the wives of 2 of your subscribers? You know, I'm not as adventurous as Rich. I appreciate him very much, but I'm not that adventurous. People are bidding on apartments in New York City again. Is that right with the median rent around 4K? Or inventory that low? Yes. Honestly, it's not as crime-ridden as Fox makes it out to be. Like, there's crime, but there's also 8.4 million people. So, like, when you see the amount of crime that's there, but then you see, like, there's 8.4 million people, like, you have to balance that out. You could watch my video walking around on Rumble yesterday. So it's on Rumble. It's not on YouTube. You said the right to repair deal is fine for third-party repair, but leaves us out in the cold, unable to do it yourself repair. Define deal. Are you talking about a legislative deal, or are you talking about telling a company, hey, pat on the back, thank you? Like with Framework, I don't think they offer you a schematic, but they offered repair shops a schematic. Now, like, is that what I'm going for in the law? No. Will I congratulate Framework for doing that because it's a step in the right direction that no other fucking manufacturer has taken in the history of laptop manufacturing? Yes. Describe your dream woman, your type. This is probably going to sound really pathetic as the first thing that I bring up, but nice to me? That's scarily hard to find. Okay, let's see. Feminine, cooperative, has a good level of self-knowledge, stable. Cooperative means a lot to me. Like there are people that make your life difficult and more complicated and more aggravating. And there are people that kind of get on your program, tweak your program, improve your program, and like figure out how to help you get where you're going.
Sweet mercy.
And like want to go there with you. I think I've learned over the past 5 years the value of cooperativeness. Like when I have it, when I don't have it, and like I learned how much value that adds to my life. Those glasses really do fit you. Thank you, Skyrise. Like being able to agree, we both want to get over there. Let's try to get there together. Like being on the same page on just basic shit. I don't know my height down to the 3/4 of an inch. I know I'm 5'6". I don't know 5'6" and 3/4 or 1/4 or anything like that. There's surgery that can make people taller, not recommended though. Yeah, but that's horrible. You can't walk for a very long time period afterwards. They break your bones, and yes, it like you're turning somebody from 5'6" to 5'8", so you're still a manlet. You're not turning people from 5'6" to 6'1". You're turning people from like 5'6" to 5'8" or something. So like not only is it very expensive, not only is it very painful, but at the end of the day, you're still a manlet. So like, why bother? Cold calling is like constantly asking for a date with no chance of getting laid. Not no chance, it's low chance. There's a difference between no chance and low chance. The amount of money I spent with Jeremy Bilski at Asset Genie, 13 to 10 years ago, like just proves you wrong there. There's not no chance. I'm Tracy and I'm a girl too. Hello, Tracy. What am I, chopped liver? You're even worse. You're Australian liver. I can't even count you. I'm female and I watch your stuff all the time. Holy crap. Okay. Well, I guess there are more of them that have been hiding there that I didn't know about. Have you considered writing a book like The Zen of Repair? No. It's not my medium. YouTube channel is my medium. YouTube is my medium. No podcast, no book. This is my creative place. Oh, and Hannah. Okay, fuck. That's mean. I forgot the person that's an actual mod. Sorry, Hannah. Sorry. Sorry. Will you take me saying sorry seriously if I'm not saying it naked, laying down on the top of a bear rug in front of a fireplace? Any of you remember that? Do you guys remember that? Let's see if I can find that. Is it possible to truly be sorry for anything if this is not the method for your... Sorry. Let's see if I find it. Okay, here we go. Hannah?
Sorry. We're sorry.
We're sorry.
I'm deeply sorry.
I'm deeply sorry. I find that thing hysterical. There's probably somebody else I'm leaving out. Sorry. Also Sonia. Crap. Do you have any advice for job hunting as a sysadmin? I'm trying to get in my toxic MSP job. What makes your job toxic? Well, the first thing you have to figure out is what makes your job toxic so that you don't wind up getting yourself into the same situation again. I don't know how to find a job, I'll be honest with you. Like the reason that I started a business is because I could never get anybody to hire me. I don't know how job interviews work. Like I had a job interview with this fucking company I don't even know why I'm drinking out of this goddamn water bottle that has their logo on it after they asked me to fucking be on their advisory board for $2,000 a goddamn year. But yeah, like I had a job interview and it's like, I to be clear, I didn't have a job interview from 2008 through 2022. So I'm a little bit out of the market. You are a spokesperson. We have to know right to repair is not done until we can do it yourself repair as the object's owner. Manual supply chain tools, no building and economic worth doing. No bundling and economic worth doing. Yeah, when it comes to legally, I don't want to accept half deals. When it comes to, like in Washington State, there was a potential compromise to require that somebody was a licensed business owner, and we rejected it. However, that bill also didn't get passed. Like that's one of those things. It's like I've rejected compromises before that I thought were shit, but then I got nothing. I'm like, is having nothing better? I don't know. But I try to keep pushing the ball forward. I'll leave it at that. My goal, ideally, would be that you can get access to the same shit I can get access to. But I also realize that I've likely been stubborn in ways that have probably gotten us nothing. Then that's not smart either. Where are the cats? That is a paid question at this point. Jessica Whatever is also a woman. Point taken, but she only shows up in the live channel. Lewis is the Lord of Repair. Those glasses work. I never thought of it that way, Blue Freaker. Maybe it is. When I had a supply company, I really did kind of think of myself as the Lord of War, dude. What do you think of George Hotz? Never heard of him. The volume is kind of low. Test. Let's see. Is it low? Oh, it is. Did this move? No, it didn't move. Okay. Huh. Hello, test. You know what I can do? I can crank it up a little bit. That's exactly what we'll do. Test. Hello. There we go. That's a little bit louder. Okay. I'm talking lower tonight than usual, I suppose. Microphone. Okay. That's a good setting. I'll take it at this. Where was I in chat? I'm at 12:38, so 12 minutes behind. What do you prefer drinks? Do you just drink Everclear because it's the cheapest thing to get drunk off of in New York? I like Everclear because when you go to a club and you get a drink, they are insanely overpriced. Insanely overpriced. So what I will do is I will have a little bit of Everclear in my pocket, and I will pour that into what I get at the club. So then I can get a really weak drink at the club that takes up a full cup, and I can pour my Everclear in it, and then I can have something that I can get drunk off of throughout the entire evening for the cost of one drink. I'm not paying club costs for drink in Manhattan. Fuck out of here. No way in hell. Yeah, I mean, nobody serves Everclear in Manhattan. Like, you have to bring your own. Linux support is there for the framework for the most part. Okay, the trackpad sucks in Linux, but to be clear, the trackpad kind of sucks with almost any laptop in Linux. I can't use DaVinci Resolve in Linux because I need a discrete GPU. That's not really the fault of framework though, because even if I had a ThinkPad that was Iris only, I would still have that problem. It works in Linux. It's just the trackpad sucks. But again, like Linux sucks for trackpads. Louis, good luck finding that unicorn. Well, we'll see. Anything below average height is manlet. That's about 5'10" in the US, but you're still invisible even at 5'10" because you're below 6 feet. You know, that's one of the things I considered. I should have considered. Like when I was walking by that group of women and I said, "Good evening, how are you?" And they didn't answer me. Maybe it's because they heard me, but they couldn't see me. Like they did this and they're like, "Where's that noise coming from?" Because they didn't look down, they had no idea that I was there. That's always possible. Get this image out of my head. Nope. Sorry. So sorry. Sorry. Came for right to repair, left for cringe incel talk. I don't see incel talk here. Earlier in the video, there was a person who said that they think they would not be able to ever get a date in their life, and I had a 5-minute talk with them where I suggested they get therapy. If you think it is cringe to suggest that somebody get therapy if they are scared of leaving their house, you are a piece of shit human being, and you're part of the stigma that keeps people from getting the help that they need to be able to open up to the world. So fuck you for that, Dylan Rafferty. You are an absolute piece of shit human being, and you should be ashamed of yourself. Truly. When did you feel comfortable to leave the apartment and lease a proper space? That took, so that's a tough one. So I was doing house calls in 2009. By the end of 2009, I was spending time talking to my friend at this recording studio he worked at, and nothing ever worked there. So what I used to do was, can I just finish this rant first? Fuck you, Dylan Rafferty, for being a piece of shit. Seriously. Like, if somebody is having a difficult time, and I suggest that they get therapy. That happened. That was like a 5 or 10 minute talk earlier in the video. Like, this is stigma around getting mental help, and it's because of pieces of shit like you. Again, if somebody has a broken arm, they go to a doctor. If somebody gets a concussion, other people would drag them to a hospital. If somebody has a mental health issue, you just get fucks like you that call it cringe insult talk. Like, seriously, fuck you and people like you. You don't contribute to the overall health and well-being of society. If somebody has a problem and they're actually afraid to speak to another human being, they should probably seek a therapist. And I'm okay to have that conversation with them and suggest that they seek the help of a therapist. Someday you're going to need help, and I hope that you don't have the experience of being stuck on a sidewalk somewhere because nobody wants to drag you to the hospital, the same way that you would probably be okay with somebody being stuck not getting mental help that they need. Anyway. I think that guy was called the Angry Gamer or the Terrible Gamer up below. And he left the chat right after I started that discussion. So I hope he's considered some of it seriously. Because that's just scary when it's like, it's okay to be sad for the rest of your life. It really isn't. Back to this. So when did I feel confident to be able to leave? So I was working at this studio and nothing ever worked there. And my best friend was the manager. So I would always go there to try and help him out with stuff. And also in between jobs, I had nothing to do. So because I had nothing to do, it was like I lived in Canarsie. Canarsie is the last stop in the L train. The L train never works. The L train breaks down at Lorimer Street, Myrtle Wyckoff, and Broadway Junction. So there's 3 separate places where you're most likely going to get a shuttle bus. It's fucking bad. So what I would do is I would need a place to stay in New York City, like within Manhattan. Hanging out drinking shaky hands. Seriously, I drink hard, but struggle with the shakes. I have handshakes even if I'm not. So there's a double strategy for getting drunk. The first is eat a steak, drink a lot of water, do half an hour to an hour of steady state, low intensity cardio after it's done. And by the time I have no feeling of being hungover the next day. Again, steak before drinking, water during and after drinking excessively, and low steady state cardio, low intensity steady state cardio for about half an hour to an hour after drinking. And then I'm good. B, my hands are always shaking regardless, which is one of the reasons I don't do board repair on camera much anymore. I've been trying to encourage my employees to, but I only do it because like they fucking hate it. But we need to do it for the business. But I don't do any sort of real repairs at the store anymore because my hands shake too much for me to be able to do them properly. So it's not really a worry for me because they shake anyway. The other thing, so I was hanging out at the studio anyway, and I was fixing shit because I had nothing to do. Like, I'm not one of those people that is going to say, I'm here and I'm going to observe this problem and not do anything to fix it, even though I'm there. If I'm in the room with you and I have nothing to do, I'm going to help you solve your problem. Like, I need something to work on. I'm one of those people that if you put me in a forest with an axe, I would just be chopping down trees all day, even if I wasn't getting paid for it, just because I'm bored. So I was helping them fix stuff. And at one point, I told somebody, can you just meet me here instead of me go to you because I have to fix some stuff at the studio? And that's when I came up with the idea. This is actually really convenient. I have a place to meet customers centrally. So I worked out a deal with the owner where I said, you'll never have to pay for maintenance. In exchange, can I meet my clients here? I wasn't paying at that point. I got kicked out of that space because I told somebody from some record label. So this person that owned the record label bought that studio once the cokehead owner of that studio had done so much coke that was unable to manage it anymore because he spent all his money on cocaine instead of the studio. So I made a reference to the fact that the person that had purchased or took the studio from him was a drug dealer on the phone, and I didn't realize that my phone was on. So this is a video that I did a few years ago. This is called the $30,000 pocket dial. This is a long story. This is a really old video that I did. Yeah, the $30,000 pocket dial. The $30,000 pocket dial. And I did that, and I needed a new space. So I got a space next door at Planet to Planet from John Grossbard. This is the Grossbard that Kramer said had Grossbard him and Seinfeld. Apparently David and him had a falling out. They were roommates a long time ago. He was the landlord of Planet to Planet Studios from the 1970s up until 2014 or 2015 at 251 West 30th Street in the basement. I got that space for about $3,300 a month because I needed a space to work at. If I tried working out of my apartment, I wasn't able to at that point because I was selling screens at that point wholesale, and I was also doing too much business to be able to do house calls everywhere. I'd have 2 or 3 people that wanted to schedule at the same time, and they were on different sides of the city, so it just didn't work anymore. And one of them would say no, and the amount of people that would say no would actually make up for the cost of rent if I had a centralized location. So I took that location because I had so much business that it was time for a location. A lot of people will do it the wrong way. What they do is they open a business, and then they think the business will come. They open a studio, and then they think that the business will come. That's not how it works. You only open a recording studio once you have so many people blowing up your phone that you cannot physically find a way to fit them into all the independent recording studios in the area that will book independent engineers. So if you have so many people calling you that you can't figure out how to schedule this with every other studio, then you open a studio. Same thing with a repair shop. Once you get to a point where it's like, I can't figure out how to fit all this shit in my apartment. This is never going to work. That's when you open a store. You don't open a shop and then hope business comes. You get all the business you can, and then once that business will support a shop, then you open a shop. That's my opinion on how to do things. I'm very conservative in these things. I usually assume that I'm very, very conservative on these things. I'm very, very averse to the idea of taking on debt for anything, and I want to see that something works before I put my own money into it. So I need to see that the idea can sustain itself before I put money into it. Also, again, just a reminder, fuck you, Dylan Rafferty. Worst interview question, why do you want to work here? Yeah, I fuck that shit. It's like, why do you want to work here? Because I need to fucking I want to pay my rent. I want to be able to eat. I want to live indoors. I want to be able to afford an air conditioner. I don't want to die of starvation. I want to be able to have sex with people. Like, it's such a fucking retarded interview question. My job interview is very simple. Okay, here is a board. Can you fix it? If you cannot fix it, tell me why and tell me your thought process for trying to fix it. If that works, great. If it doesn't work, then no. Or if like it's customer service, I'll just find an email and I'll be like, okay, how would you handle this person? Here's why they're pissed. Read the thread. What would you do? It's like I want to see how you would perform in the actual job itself. Asking all these proxy questions to try to figure out who you are, it just doesn't work. I'd rather just, like, instead of dealing with the middleman, let's just get straight to the topic at hand. Also remember, a big F you to Dylan Rafferty. But Louis, your drive has something built into it that matters. Why are you talking like that? You know how hard it is to read a sentence where every other word is all caps? Technologic, that's incomprehensible. If you're short and someone cares about your height, that's kind of just it. They aren't people you should be dating. If something you can't control bothers them, then it's a no. I would agree with that. In starting your business, how would you go about getting your first 10 customers? I don't know. That's what kind of business? I don't know. I am behind by 14 minutes still. Let's see. Do you dislike Sean King? I don't know who that is. Get that framework logo in there. Get some shilling going. Some framework shilling. $1 million idea, open an OnlyFans page for female viewers, and it's just you naked on a bearskin rug saying sorry and soldering.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Thank you for standing up for shy and mentally not fit people. You're a great, my favorite person on YouTube. Yeah, seriously, like, fuck that shit. You know, like, there was an article in Bloomberg that was talking about, and I did a video on this. There was an article in Bloomberg talking about, like, highly educated women not finding dates. And it was, like, a serious problem for them. Like, you know, why is it that it's difficult for them to find relationships, this, that, and the other? Like, they're talking about something that matters to them, that bothers them, and that's totally fine. If a guy talks about something that bothers him, it's like, well, you're an incel, you're cringe, or you're, like, retarded. It's like, fuck you people. Like, seriously. Like, you know, if people feel like they're unable to discuss, like, this is the thing. You have a lot of people that feel like they're unable to discuss what bothers them. They're unable to discuss what makes them sad, what makes them angry, what makes them feel awkward. And then, you know, people wonder why society is a complete clusterfuck nowadays. It's because of pieces of shit like that. It's because of pieces of shit like that. Let's see, can I find that video? Where did I put that video? Where did I put that video? Huh. If I can find it in the next 15 seconds, I'll put it on screen. If I can't, I'll move on to the next thing. Let's see. Yeah. I really gotta title my videos better. It's difficult for me to find my own content. Let's see. I did a video on this a few months ago and boo. Okay, I'll give myself 15 more seconds. Okay, 40 more seconds, then I gotta start reading chat again. What was it? This one? I think it was this one. Here we go. I did a video on this, I think in February. If your wife makes more than you, read this. I don't know, like... I think people should be able to talk about what it is that bothers them. Lewis's OnlyFans is in the About section on the YouTube channel. True, Wes, true. Why are you wearing glasses now? You know, I've turned that into a super chat question. I've answered that question in this stream at this point about 11 or 12 times, and you can rewind to find it. I'm taking a more capitalistic approach to this whole YouTube shit from now on. I will answer it in exchange for money. You can rewind it to get the answer, the last 11 times I answered it, or you can pay. You think... that was a dumb question over there. I almost read something that was really stupid. That is fan noise, yeah. This laptop does make some noise. Yeah, my mic clips unclipped. Ah, fuck. Would I do this damn microphone? Boo. What did I do to this thing? This is why I prefer the 4065 to the 4066. The 4066 is such a clusterfuck. Jesus Christ. I don't like the clip style on this one. Yeah, I much prefer the DPA 4065 to the 4066. The most 4066 like microphone for $50 or $100 is a broken one that you buy on eBay and you put your own connector on. Is that a $2 mic? Look up DPA 4066. He mentioned whoring himself out for right to repair. Does it involve opening an OnlyFans? Maybe. We are behind by 17 minutes. Okay, we're going to catch up a little bit. When do you feel comfortable leave the apartment, lease a proper space? All right, I answered that one. Cool. Cool. Thank you, Sonia. Congratulations to us and all the friends you have advanced right to repair and your large and small successes. Thank you, Sonia, but I don't like to think of it as my successes. It's mostly the successes of the audience. You guys do most of the work. Louis, I'm meeting with the Ohio State Medical Association to talk about right to repair in medicine and healthcare. You have some resources I can summarize for a PowerPoint. No, because I don't work in medicine or healthcare, so I don't really have much. I would ask Nathan Proctor. Nathan Proctor most likely has something. And if he doesn't have something, then he probably will get on making something if you ask him to. Because I'm providing them lots of funding to be able to make stuff like that, to educate legislators. Why is that mic so expensive? Because it's good? It's not really that expensive, honestly. Like $600 is normal for a microphone, a high-end microphone. Like, watch, if you want to... Yeah. Again, if you want a Neumann KM84... Here, let's search here. eBay. KM84. What? A KM84 is $1,600 used, right? A U87 is $1,500. No, that's not a real. That's bid. It's closer to like two or 3K new usually. Yeah, $3,300 for a U87. If you want Audio Technica 4060, which is kind of a cheaper version of a high-end mic, like this is cheap. AT 4060 is like almost $1,000. If you want a set of AKG 451, a stereo pair, I can't spell. You'll get like $1,300 for a stereo pair. So again, this is not an expensive microphone. If you're thinking of like if you're looking at a microphone and you're saying, if you're buying a microphone to like scream and curse edgy edgelord shit when you're playing Warcraft 3 online, it's an expensive microphone. For this, it's really not an expensive microphone at all. If you compare it to any one of the head-worn if you compare it to like a Shure SM35, this sounds way better. It sounds way better than most microphones that you're going to get. You can before SM57 for the same price. Yeah, but the SM57 sounds like dog shit. And it's also useless for this application. The SM57 is useless for this application, but more importantly, I hate S. I'm with William Whitman. William Whitman is one of the few audio engineers that pushes back against this idea that the SM57 sounds good and everything. And he used to be on the Womb forums when the Womb was a working website. He was a really cool audio engineer. He's a really cool audio engineer. He did Cyndi Lauper's famous record. He's a good dude. About mental therapy stuff, I'm too poor for that, but also drugs, I'd rather brain fuck than what... I'd rather my brain fuck than whatever potential side effects those pills could do. Well, I mean, therapy does not necessarily mean pills. You're thinking, that's psychiatrist. Psychiatrist issues you pills, therapist does not issue you pills. There's always resources, there's always a way to find a way. Everclear is crap. True. Kind of true, honestly. Why are you wearing shades? That is a super chat only question at this point. Rewind the stream for the last 13 times I answered that. But I will happily answer the question for money. It is not to make me look cooler. Rewind the video. Rewind the video. You'll find it. Oh, you can't pay until next time. Oh, none. Rewind video then. Poor as a door. Has anyone passed the interview but failed horribly at the job? Yes, because we had one person who did a fake interview. I learned a lesson on that too. Whenever I do that, I am the one to conduct the interview. So I had an employee conduct an interview of their friend, and it wound up being like it was a fake interview. So like they made it seem like their friend was totally fine and knew how to do it, and like they did not. So I that was my fault though. It was my fault for trusting that situation. I was being silly to trust that situation. I realized that, Christopher. I just don't care. I just don't care. It's impossible to answer the same question over and over again. It's highly annoying. So what I've done is I've tried to figure out how can I monetize things that I find annoying. I want to build a life where I monetize things that are annoying. You have the paid option, which is rewinding, and you have the free option, which is rewinding, and you have the paid option. I will monetize the things that I find annoying, Christopher, and I will be shameless with it. Showing any sort of weakness isn't allowed. Don't you know you're not a real man if you're not invincible? Yeah, I hate that shit. It's like when a man brings up something that bothers him, you'll have people that say shit like, who hurt you? Why glasses here is money? 3 reasons. A, in the beginning of the stream, people asked me to put them on. B, I did a vote asking if they should be put on, and the people in the stream voted that I should put them on. And C, I have really bright lights over here, and I never really noticed how annoying they are in my peripheral vision. Not in my vision when I look at the camera or the screen, but in my peripheral vision, it's annoying to see the light there. And when I had these glasses on, after somebody suggested I put them on in the video, I actually noticed. It looks a lot better. It's a lot less annoying. So now I keep them on. Lastly, I'm going to add reason number 4, is that I've now found a way to bring in recurring revenue. Every time somebody asks that question, I get paid money. So there you go. That's a win-win right there. But going back to that question, yeah, like if somebody's, if a man brings up something that hurt him or that was a problem, like people will go, wow, who hurt you? Well, let's say somebody did hurt him. Why not talk about it? That person sounded like they were hurt. So I suggested that since they were hurt and traumatized, that they seek therapy. Why is that a bad conversation? If somebody was hurt and they were hurt numerous times, or their friends were hurt and everybody they know is hurt in a specific way numerous times, so they've taken a specific course of action as a result of that, why can't that be talked about? I've always hated that entire fucking white knighting shit. Who hurt you? Why? What is the point of shaming somebody to that extent? Why take somebody and kick them while they're down and shame them over and over again? What is so bad with people discussing a problem that they have with other people? How do you recommend a person get over their own imposter syndrome? Sometimes I've been overwhelmed by my own. The way I get over it is not caring as much what other people think. Here's the thing, when you don't care what other people think, you're going to be called egotistical, you're going to be called narcissistic, you're going to be called self-serving, and all the people who are going to say that are people that are typically too afraid to try anything with their own life. So the way that they're going to project that is they're going to say, well, it's okay that I'm not doing anything with my own life, because when somebody else doesn't care what people think, I'm going to label that something negative. So in order to hide the fact that they are not doing anything with their life, or in order to make it okay that they're not doing jack shit, what they're going to do is they're going to find people like you that are good at something, and if you don't care what they think of you, if you don't care that they see you as an imposter, they're going to say that you're egotistical, you're narcissistic, you're self-serving, selfish, all this other crap. And what you need to do is just not give a fuck. Like, the thing is, I'm open on this channel about I have board repair videos that I did that are absolutely shameful. My videos in the beginning of this channel were garbage. They're all up. I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. I started as a complete moron. At some point, I got to be really, really, really good at this field, to the point where I could just tell you what was wrong with your board based on 2 or 3 questions over the internet without even seeing it. And now I'm really good at what I do, and I run a company that's at the top of its field. But I started as an idiot. I don't pretend that I wasn't an idiot. I don't even pretend I'm not an idiot now. But I'm good at the things that I do. I'm opinionated, and I don't really care what people think. That's going to piss people off. If you're okay with people being pissed off then you're going to be, it'll help you get over the imposter syndrome. Because I'm not being an imposter. I'm just being upfront and honest about everything. Like, yes, I didn't go to college. Yes, I don't know what a coulomb is. Yes, I'm really good at board repair. And yes, I run a company doing it. I don't care what you think. You have a certification for that? Why do you charge so much an hour? I'm like, fuck. Honestly, the best way to get over imposter syndrome is this. I'm serious. Like, when somebody starts yapping on the, you're egotistical, you're narcissistic, you just want to hear you just literally, because they're not doing anything with their life. The best way to get over imposter syndrome is a giant middle finger to the. Because here's the thing: why do you care if other people think you're an imposter? Like, for me, I embrace it. I embrace it. I'm very good at what I do. I'm also kind of an idiot. 2 things can be true at once, can they not? I'm not trying to pretend I'm an electronics engineer. I'm not pretending I'm a PhD. I'm not pretending that I know what a coulomb is. What changes 1 million versus 2 million subscribers? At 1 million subscribers, my channel had a lot of viewership. At 1.7 million subscribers, it's kind of dead. I expect at 2 million subscribers, it'll be actually dead. Why are the shop benches covered in plastic? I should make that a super chattable question. I swear to God. I will answer any question for free, except for the questions that get asked 50 times a stream. You know what? I'm going to hide that one behind a paywall. I'm going to be an asshole. How to fix boards for free? Go to repair.wiki. You'll see at least 80 pages of guides for free. If you want to know why I'm wearing glasses, or where's Erica, or why is there plastic in my office? That's behind a paywall. That's behind a paywall now. Who knows, Chuck Huckler? I don't really care. The first soldering iron I ever used was that orange piece of shit kit that everybody got at Radio Shack. The $7 orange one. Greetings from New Jersey. Just want to let you know the real estate market here is garbage. My fiance and I are literally spending months looking for a place and couldn't find anything. The big problem with New Jersey is that you have 2.2% property tax on top of really high property values on top of really, really high taxes. So you don't really own anything. I mean, if an average middle class house costs you $20,000 a year in property tax, do you own that? No, you don't. His first soldering iron was an orange one. Does he read YouTube chat? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm just reading what's in my head, though. Why plastic? Here is money. The plastic is there because there's a kitty in my office, and the kitty likes to knock over everything that's on the table, and it's annoying. So I put the plastic over that so that in between doing those free workshops and classes, it's protected. The kitty is in my office because as I travel, if I go to North Carolina and Florida and New Hampshire and Tennessee, I'm not going to take cats with me. Like, fuck that. And it's easier to have them in one central location than to let random people into like an apartment. Or I don't want to give people the keys to my apartment and then deal with that shit. I'd rather just have people that I know that I've worked with for 8 years open cans of food for my kitty. Building your business in Chicago, it's the only logical solution. You're memeing. No fucking way. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. What's your favorite New York pizza joint? I hate pizza. I really do. I don't like pizza. I don't find it appealing. It's just a bunch of bread. It's carb loading with no health benefit. Artichoke is the best if you want to eat that garbage. But artichoke, again, it's if you want to eat that garbage. Would you opening a second location in Florida and keep both places? No, that makes no sense. The moment you take the mail-in business, so you have a business that's barely profitable as is. Once I suck the mail-in business out of that location, that place would collapse immediately. Immediately. 50% of the business is mail-in. So the mail-in portion of the business is really paying the rent. Erica and I broke up 5.5 months ago. She is a great woman. She's not the woman for me, and I'm not the guy for her. She's one of the few breakups I've had where it's one of those things where I actually don't hate you. And I had suggested like really, really early on, you're a great human being. I don't hate you. This doesn't work as a relationship. Would you want to just kind of like go our separate ways? And she's like, no, let's try, make it work. Let's try again. And I would advise if something isn't working and you actually kind of like each other. Oh, I answered the plastic one already. Sorry. Do I have to answer it each time somebody pays? Because that's actually going to get really old. I literally answered it like right as I was getting to this question. Cats. So the cat likes to fuck everything up. But they don't fuck it up if there's plastic over it. My cat likes to fuck up everything, actually. So usually with relationships, it's like people will wait until they're like they really just are really pissed at each other to leave. And like that doesn't make sense. Like if you can fundamentally know you're not going to marry somebody and things that like you're just not romantically compatible, it would make sense to just kind of leave early on. I had the opportunity to do that. I didn't do it. And, 2.5 years too late is still better than nothing. But she's a very good person. Like I would go to her wedding. I would go to her baby shower. I would wave if I saw her on the street. There are people I've went out with where it's like I wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. But she's not one of those people at all. She's a good human being, and I hope the best for her in her life. Metcal RF soldering iron is master race of soldering. I've never tried that before. I could totally get behind this answering annoying questions if they're asked. I think that's what I'm going to sell out. I think I got it. What's the least crappy cordless soldering iron? I don't think that exists. Sorry. I've never tried one before. I guess they have these butane ones or shit like I've never used that. I've never had a reason to use a cordless soldering iron. I'm sorry. I feel bad. You paid $369 and you didn't get an answer, but I bet you can buy that exact same microphone component for $5 and glue it to a piece of wire. Well, if you want to make something that sounds exactly like a DPA 4065, best of luck. Why are you so serious? Because life is not a joke? I mean, why is being serious a bad thing? That doesn't make any sense. There's like this implication there that being serious is a bad thing. Being serious isn't a bad thing at all. In this day and age of amazing knockoffs, $1,500 for a microphone is ridiculous. Incorrect. Are you able to? Is the knockoff always going to sound the same as the $1,500 microphone? Does it sound the same as the $1,500 microphone under every circumstance? What are the engineering tolerances of it? If you sell that microphone, like you get, I don't think it's ridiculous to have an expensive microphone if it's good. Plus, if somebody's paying $250,000 for the studio time for a month, the studio doesn't really care about paying $1,500 for a microphone versus $10 if there's even this much difference. Because that's what you're doing. Like when you're a recording engineer, you're adding up like this much difference, this much better, but like 30 times. And that makes a difference. Using an LA2A compressor instead of a Pro Tools plugin. Using a KM84 instead of like an MXL microphone. Having a room with amazing acoustics versus shit acoustics. Like you're adding up all these small things that come together to create the feel of an album. And when you actually have the budget to create something like that, and it's a once in a lifetime performance of those particular people in that particular space at that particular time, why not have the best available? You're doing it wrong. Every subsequent repeat answer should cost more. Probably. You follow do-it-yourself perks. Never heard of it. I'd love to hear your tips on getting over imposter syndrome. I think I answered that. Who hurt you? You mean like recently or like a lifetime? Oh, take a seat. No matter who you ask, it's a long list. Yeah, I've always thought like when somebody says who hurt you, that's just such a like. What is the point of that? What are you even trying to get across? Like it's a shaming. It's like shaming language. It's immediately designed to shame you. Because think about it. Who hurt you? Oh, nobody hurt me. I'm not hurt. I'm not hurt. What's wrong with being hurt? That's it, because that's the first thing that a lot of people think when somebody says, who hurt you? Well, what do you mean? I'm not hurt. What are you talking about? Okay, well, because that's what they're priming you to respond with. They're priming you to respond with the concept that being hurt is a bad thing, and that talking about being hurt is a bad thing, and that changing your behavior so that maybe you don't get hurt again is a bad thing. Because think about it. If somebody talks about something that happened and that's bad, and then you say, well, you shouldn't talk about that. Don't talk about that. Well, why? Because talking about that may lead to them changing their behavior. So the real reason behind telling somebody who hurt you is because you don't want them to change their behavior. Why don't you want them to change their behavior? And who benefits from that behavior not changing? There's a lot of questions that have to be asked there. There's a lot to untangle. Can't be successful in worrying about what everyone else thinks. True, Drew. Very true. Louis, you have not changed. I hope I have. At least since I started this channel. I mean, I started this channel in 2012. It's 2022. I really do hope that at 33, I'm a different man than I was at 23. Because that would mean that I wasted the last 10 years of my life if I have not changed. Late comment, but you do have a female audience. I learned that. And I did give the female audience a sorry. I gave them a... actually, that window's already gone, so screw it. Thank you, Sven. Why are you a douche? Put it behind a paywall. Oh, maybe I will. How would your business change if any part you wanted was available? It would be easier. I'd say no to less stuff. Chuck, it's not about thinking you're better than anybody else. It's just why should their opinion matter? You need to hire Linda Lucia as your assistant and do some goofy vlog business tutorials to engage with those 1.7 million subscribers. You know, that was an amazing strategy that Rich had, and it worked very well. Like, Rich's YouTube game is on point. He knows what gets people to click, and it fucking works. But the thing is, Rich's content is so good that it's like, do you really even care if you got clickbaited by a thirst trap? Like, does it even matter that you got clickbaited by a thirst trap? Do you care that you got clickbaited by a thirst trap? Or are you just happy that you were introduced to such amazing comedy? Let's see. What is Linda up to? Linda Lucia. Let me Google that.
Oh, sweet mercy.
F scammers on eBay. I just got 4 10 terabyte drives and plugged them in and 2 failed already. Thought I had good luck overall. Why are you buying stuff like that on eBay? That's like buying underwear on eBay. Don't buy hard drives on eBay. You can maybe buy a processor, but don't buy a hard drive. That's like buying underwear. Speaking of underwear. Oh, that's just something, that's a different window altogether. Okay. Would my channel do better if my video thumbnails look like this? Better or worse? I don't know. That's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll ask Rich later. I'll ask Rich. It worked. Listen, it works for Rich. If it's good enough for Rich, why is it not good enough for me? That's not a bad idea. But in all seriousness, Rich rebuilds, like with putting her in the thumbnail, was a very, very good business decision that he made. Tech from heaven. That was a good business decision. I'm at 122 in the chat, and it's 133 right now. So I have 11 minutes to catch up on. My cat has never tried to escape the shop. He did try to escape my apartment once because he wanted to kill a squirrel that was outside that was fucking with him, and he broke my window. Clinton is an asshole. Pizza is not the best. It's horrible. That's different, Chuck Huckler. That's not the same thing. It's not even about my opinion of what it tastes like. It's about the fundamental building block of pizzas, bread and dough. Like, no. Thank you, Alana. It is good to still be cordial. I chalk that up to being better at picking as I get older. Like I pick people at least the people that I pick are people that that I don't hate when it ends. It's a low bar to set, but it's better than nothing. Look at the silver lining. I'm not asking much, but what should I cook for dinner? Teresa says. I would say a steak medium done. Medium cooked. Good night, Hattie Langford. Hope you have a good evening. Maybe Anthony Navarro. I think I'd be interested in contributing to something like that. The only thing is when like people have tried to do academic papers on right to repair and they'll just ask me a question that says, put a dollar value on the amount of repairs that you say no to because of you don't have access to shit. And it's like, I can't even remotely come up with a way to do that. Like anything I would do would just be pulling a number out of my ass. So usually I say no because the questions I get asked are questions that it's impossible to answer without pulling something out of my ass. But I would be open to contributing to it if that wasn't it. What do you mean by novice Kafka play, Blue Freaker? Thank you, Wabatuba. Use thumbnails of yourself shirtless. You know, I don't think that'll work. Oh, crap. Trackpad. No! My trackpad died. You mother. This is why you need track points, man. Okay, here we go. It came back. Do you think the DMCA should allow customers to rip movies for their personal use? Yes, and the reason I say that is because even if you disagreed with it, you're not stopping people from doing that anyway. You're just not. They're still doing that. Bye-bye, hardcore, hardcore casual. Bye-bye, douchebag. Bye-bye, douchebag. Let's see. It's called thin crust, Lewis. Thin crust is still bread. Keto pizza, which can have no crust at all, or crust made of cheese. That just doesn't sound like an appetizing dish. That just sounds like a pile of junk that I'm not going to feel good about myself after eating. Join says, love your channel. Your MacBook Repair videos give me a lot of insight into how corrupt Apple is. These concepts kind of went toward the production of my movie 2002. Cool. Somebody already make the Jordan Slansky joke. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is. People who ask who hurt you don't really care about you. 100% true. And again, I just there's this fundamentally manipulating thing behind it, which is when you're talking about something that hurt you, that's most likely going to lead to you learning something and modifying your behavior. If you don't talk about it, you may not modify your behavior, which leads me to the belief that the goal of somebody who says who hurt you is to keep you from modifying your behavior. And why would they? Why? Do you think the hating them after you break up thing might be related to knowing when to leave? Not trying to assert blame, just wondering if it's easier to part amicably when it's not dragged out. Yeah, if you leave immediately, it's easy. If you compromise and you make a bunch of small compromises and then you're just like, fuck it, then it's more difficult. So like you really knowing to leaving before you dislike the person and not giving it a chance over and over again is one of the things that'll make, avoid you hating them after you break up. Okay. When someone says who hurt you, it's generally a derisive comment. They aren't trying to stop you from changing, they're mocking your weakness. I agree. Did you get one wheel thing figured out? I don't know what that means. What one wheel thing? What are you talking about? What thing? Is there a thing? There's a thing? I didn't know there was a thing. Thank you, Brooklyn Way. That's very kind of you. It's kinder than I think I deserve. It's messed up that companies actively design their gear to be unrepairable outside their control. I get being hard to be repaired as a side effect of their design decisions. I agree with you completely. You might not be surprised by that. You think people change or that they learn how to deal with what they are? I think the great majority of people don't change. A small minority of people say they will change, try and fail, and then an even smaller minority actually do. It's really hard. Did your dad ever listen to or watch your channel? Actually, no. That's the funny thing. I bought one of his books and I read 1 or 2 chapters of it, and I listened to one show he did, but he never watches this channel. Even after I got featured in the national news, like it took him 9 months before he finally watched the video that I linked him to. We have the thing where like we talk once every 1 to 3 business years, but like yeah, he I don't think he even remembers that this channel exists, to be honest with you. He has his stuff to do, I have my stuff to do. What sort of compromise in relation do you think people are making that they shouldn't? Are there any that people aren't but you think they should? It's honestly the opposite. I think there are certain compromises that people need to make and certain compromises that you shouldn't make. Like realize when you're missing the forest for the trees. I don't want to give specific examples because it'll identify people that I don't want identified. There are a bunch of specific examples that I have though, but I'd be a dick for giving them out. There was one woman that I remember going out with that said, I would not feel comfortable being in a relationship unless I made the same amount of money as the person that I was with, because I made more money than her. And I remember laughing. And because we wound up having this discussion one day about work. And she had said, like I said, whatever job I do, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I'm counting inventory at Modell Sporting Goods, or I'm running a MacBook repair company, or I'm trying to get a bill passed, whatever I do, like, if I do something, I'm in it to fucking win. Like, I'm going to do everything that I can to win. I see it as a craft that I can continuously refine. And she was like, criticizing this, saying, you should probably take life a little less seriously, see work. My job is just a job. I do it to get a paycheck and I go home. I'm not trying to be the best at anything. I'm not trying to change the world. And she had said, well, one of the reasons I wouldn't feel comfortable going, being in a relationship with you is because I'd feel like I'd want to be on your, I'd want to be on your level. So I'm open to a relationship with you if you're open to waiting. And I started laughing, and I said, "You're never going to be on my level." And she's like, "What? Why can't I be on your level? Because I'm a woman?" And I said, "No, because you." I said, I just kept laughing, and I said, "Because you're never going to be on my level because you see what you do as a job, and I see what I do as a craft. I'm always going to be ahead of you. I could stop what I'm doing right now, and you could keep doing what you're doing for 15 years, and I'll still be ahead of you." Because you see what you do as a job. So, but this is one point. I left that experience behind. I crossed that person out as a potential entirely because there's no reason for me to torture myself, and I moved on with my life. Now, what was the compromise to make there? The compromise, I imagine, would be I don't need to make the same amount of money as a man if that man meets every single one of my requirements and makes me happy. Like, there's a lot of stupid shit like that that keep people from actually engaging in something. I think a lot of people just look for excuses because they're afraid, or there's trauma from prior experiences, or trauma from prior relationships, or like they don't want to be vulnerable. Like, there's a lot of shit that people do to sabotage themselves. I'm sure I've done shit to sabotage myself. If I think, like, I'd have to think about it, but I'm confident I've done it too. But yeah, like, there are compromises people shouldn't make, and then I think, if anything, there's a lot of compromises that people should be making that they don't. Because, like, not making it's easy to say, well, I would have had a healthy relationship, but I didn't want to compromise myself. And in reality, it's like you probably should have been compromising anyway, and you created these ridiculous requirements so that you have an excuse as to why you're never in a healthy relationship. I am not cool, Johnny. Okay, where was I in chat? I missed something. Use a thumbnail that says "people not in this video" and includes headshots of a very popular or attractive person you know. I mean, technically you're not lying. They're not in the video. That's a good fucking idea. If Sherlock is watching, that's the next one. That's going to be the next video. That's going to be the next thumbnail. People not in this video and include attractive thumbnail. That's smart. That's technically not clickbait. I don't know what Dolly is. No idea. Don't know about the primary firmware dilemma. Where was I? I lost my place in chat again. I hate the way this works compared to Twitch. I gotta say, I'm slightly jealous of how Twitch's chat works compared to YouTube's. I will catch up in a moment. One moment. I lost my place. I'm sorry. Jason, that is now a question that is hidden behind a paywall. Any advice for people who continuously fail? Oh, keep doing it. Keep doing it. Man, I started trying to fix motherboards in 2009. I think I got my first successful one in 2013. That's 4.5 years. Like, it's funny, when people would show up to Jess's class, and after 1 or 2 weeks, they'd say, I only fixed one board out of the 4 that I brought. Am I learning this fast enough? I just take them aside and say, I didn't fix a board for 4 years. That'll usually get them to feel better about their failure. Personally, I would say no to being friends, but yeah, says Charlie Fix. Yeah, if I am romantically interested in somebody and they want to be friends, that's just, yeah, like, there's no reason to torture yourself with that. What's been weird for me is most of the time that I've had that experience, it's been with somebody that actually was romantically interested in me that would make the first pass at me in a romantic or sexual way. But like that is shit. Like when I was in my early 20s, I was dumb enough to get sucked into that shit. And there's only one time in the past 5 years that I was dumb enough to get sucked into that shit. But instead of it wasting like 8 months of my life, I quarantined it to only wasting a very small subsection of like a week or two of my life. But yeah, no, don't do that. Like, don't torture yourself. Just no, never do that. There's always a reason for it, and here's the thing. I try to fix things. I try to figure things out. Like, I like solving puzzles. And one of the problems that I used to have with the friends thing is I would have to figure out why it was. So, like, again, with the motherboard, like, the hardest part for me was I needed to be able to accept, I don't know why this board is missing PM Sleep S4L. I'll probably never figure it out. And if I keep trying to figure it out, I will go bankrupt because there's another 40 motherboards here that I may be able to get $100 to $400 for fixing, but I can't if I'm still fucking with this one all day. Sometimes I learn something and sometimes I don't. The hardest part with being a repairman is this, I can't fix this. I need to put this aside. I can't solve the puzzle. And with relationships with me, one of the hard things was I used to think that I had to figure out why somebody was the way they were before I cut them out of my life. Like, especially with this, I go, okay, wait a second. If this woman's sexually attracted to me and she's asking to come over to my place and she wants to take her clothes off, but then says we can only be friends. Well, why is that? You know, maybe there was something wrong with her childhood. Maybe she had a bad past relationship. Maybe she's not attracted to me, but there's no, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe she just, like, I thought I have to figure this out like a motherboard. But here's the thing. Here's the important thing that I learned when I actually became a fucking grown-up. You don't have to figure people out. People are not motherboards. And they're not supposed to be motherboards. It's supposed to simply make sense. I'm looking for this. What are you looking for? Oh, it seems like you're looking for the same thing. Hey, would you like to go there together? Oh, you'd like to go there together? Oh, cool. You want to cooperate? Okay, cool. How about maybe we could be in a relationship and do that together. Oh, wow. You think that would be fun? See, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. But nowadays, the amount of dysfunction in the world responsible for Facebook having a status, it's complicated, is insane. And what I've learned, luckily I learned this early on, like there are people that haven't learned this shit into their fucking 30s, 40s, and 50s, is that you don't have to figure it out. You can be completely okay saying, I don't understand why this person is acting this way. Have a great life. And you walk off. But yeah, my problem used to be like I would see them as motherboards. It's like, oh, well, there has to be a reason. You know, this doesn't really make sense. There has to be a reason. Because like, if somebody friend zones you and they have no romantic interest in you, it's like, oh, that's easy. Okay, I get it. Whatever. But if they don't, like when it's really confusing or there's like a weird line, like again, you don't have to figure people out. People are not Rubik's. They're not supposed to be Rubik's cubes. They're not supposed to be motherboards with liquid damage. They're supposed to be people that want something similar to what you want, that are willing to work together in a cooperative fashion towards living a happy life with you. It's not supposed to be confusing. It took me a long time to learn that, but it was an important lesson. Like it's really not supposed to be confusing. It's actually supposed to be very, very simple. And it has the ability to be very, very simple. And you can be happy in a relationship where things are actually simple and just make sense. It does exist. It genuinely does exist. Okay. Have a great life and then you walk off. Yeah, like I've done that. It's like, listen, this is not supposed to be this hard. It's not supposed to be this hard. You're making this more difficult than it needs to be. I've just learned, like, you're not a motherboard. Like, you're not a puzzle. I don't want a puzzle. I don't want a puzzle. I solve puzzles all day for work. I don't want a puzzle. Many women say they prefer dad bods over muscular ones. Either they're lying or delusional. I don't know if it's that. I mean, look at Kevin Spacey. Women used to worship him before he got accused of all the sex scandal shit. They worshipped him, and Kevin Spacey is the epitome of dad bod. I'm behind in chat by about 5 minutes. Do you get more attention from females since getting swole? Nope, I have not had any difference there. When I am with a woman, there is an appreciation. Once there's some sort of physical intimacy, and there's usually a comment on it. But before it gets to that point, no, there's no I mean, I don't look like it's I don't look like fucking Rich Piana or something. If I look like Rich Piana or something, fine. I'm not trying to look like Rich Piana. Synthol is bad for you, but you get my point. Like I'm not I'm not that amazing. Yeah, that's the thing. Stimuli had a good comment. You don't want to make your partner your project as a rough ride all the way down. Yeah. Again, if there's a situation that's confusing and it really just doesn't make sense and it just seems like it's being made difficult for no good reason, it's like just like, listen, thank you. I had a lovely time. Have a good evening. And I leave. And like usually at that point it's like, why? But no, why? Wait. It's like, no. Do you want to change? No. Okay. Bye. It's like, no. And usually what happens, and this happens routinely, either way, I mentioned this in a stream the other day. I didn't know that on Android, if you block somebody, they're not truly blocked. Why no sunglasses? I kind of wanted to take them off for a moment. I have this is already stressing my ear, so the combination of the glasses plus this little headpiece from the microphone got uncomfortable after a while. Also, thank you for the $2. Apparently on Android, there's a section of your phone called block numbers and block messages, and it saves all of your block messages. So I just found this section of my phone yesterday while I was talking to Steve. And you know what I noticed in the block messages section? There are women where I just said, listen, I hope you have a great life. I can't do this. That have been messaging me, I shit you not, for 3 fucking years that I haven't responded to. Like, oh, let's try again. Maybe we could do this. Not one, but 2 of them. But here's the thing. You don't have to figure shit out. You really don't. Like it's not on you to figure out another person from if they are not willing to work with you. One of the things that I had said on the last stream is like when somebody said, "What are you looking for?" and I had said something like nice, cooperative, and feminine or something like that. It's like cooperation goes both ways. It goes both ways, but it's really a basic and simple ask. Don't torture yourself. There's no reason to torture yourself, man.
Oh, sweet mercy.
Bringing the channel back with dating history. Genius. Indeed, Sonny. Indeed. Where does the heart fit in such rogue analysis? If you don't walk out, it fits in the cheese grater. Yeah. Where did I leave off in chat? I'm behind by 6 minutes. Have you ever been approached by a guy who expressed interest in you? Never, and that's hopefully that continues into the future. Try Highway Fit by Rob Richard, Lou Hub. You want kids, Lewis? Yes. Do people often not feel the need to have shared academic or intellectual interests? I honestly don't really care. Sometimes I've had that, sometimes I haven't, and I've realized that that's actually not even remotely as important as I thought it was. Purple, I would suggest therapy. You said purple, relationships are super difficult for me because of social anxiety, plus I probably have BPD. I rely on others to be emotionally stable. Yeah, I would suggest therapy. Again, you don't have to be like that forever. Where are these saved messages in Android? In the block messages section in settings. Lewis is going against the gay pride narrative by expressing his interest as straight. No, I don't think so. I mean, if you're gay, like, by all means, be proud of being gay. Go out, fuck other men, have fun, like, enjoy yourself, have a great life. Wear what it, I don't really care. I don't give a shit what other people do. I just don't want to be hit on by dudes. I'm not a gamer, Chuck. That's too general a question. I hacked in. It's impossible to answer. That's like saying, "What's your opinion of air?" It's impossible to answer stuff like that. It's almost impossible. Yeah, it's pretty close to impossible to actually answer. That's not my dad's laptop. That was my uncle's, and that's been gone for 7 years. Stale meme. Marriage seems unnatural. I disagree. I think the shit that we try to do now is unnatural. Okay, time for me to get out of here. I'm going to get ready to make myself a snack before I go to sleep. Might go for a run around the block, actually. I have a little bit of pent-up energy from earlier. And make myself something to eat. Go for a run around the block. Go to sleep. Wake up. Maybe drive by the mountains nearby in lovely New Hampshire. Enjoy some of the seasonal affective disorder that you get anytime you travel up here. And I'll see you all later. Thank you very much for joining the stream, and I'll see you in the next one. And as always, I hope you learned something. It's really interesting. Like this video started out talking about Ford, Tesla, and this whole concept of fixing hardware defects with software, and it wound up changing into a video about why people should seek mental health help if they need it. And the stigma, and you saw some douchebags in my chat that were stigmatizing the two gentlemen that were speaking about their issues and their fears of talking to people or fears of talking to women. Those people are out there. And here's the thing. On this chat, they're anonymous. So, actually no, I take it back. That one dude actually used his real name. So there's a lot, again, if people are willing to say that with their real name, there's a lot of them that probably think that just don't say anything at all. That are more than happy to just laugh at people, like the first two gentlemen that commented that they're afraid to talk to people, rather than tell them something that'll actually help them. And I would suggest, just suggest that you think about moderating your tone when you're talking to those people. They're troubled, they have issues, And the world in general would be better if there were more happy people in it. Because people who are happy are people who are productive. People who are happy tend to be the people that engineer the solutions for the future, that invent things, that contribute to society. It's the people that are unhappy, that are scared, that are sad, that are alone, that wind up going into supermarkets and shooting up the place, or making the world a shittier place, or stealing and robbing and doing all this kind of nasty shit. Think about your impact that you have on the world. I honestly don't always think about my impact I have in the world, and I really should more often. I probably will the moment I end this stream. I'm going to try to be a better person. You should too. If you see somebody that's genuinely struggling, instead of laugh at them, suggest that they get therapy. Everybody needs therapy from time to time. There's no shame to be had in it. And there's lots of resources out there that cost less than $200 an hour. There's lots of organizations that will charitably try to find you and hook you up with somebody who can help you out. And there's organizations out there that will even try to pay for people if they're not able to pay for it themselves. And I may start linking to those in future AMAs. That's about it for today. And as always, I hope that you learned something. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.